Oh. Thank you for that.
Am I done with that?
Yep.
All right.
Now we're on.
Where should I place this?
You can place it on
Bend
the floor.
over, I'll show you.
This is going to...
Hey, y'all. Welcome back to STS Shooting the Shit. Y'all, Russ is back. I'm Kathy Smithy. We have Kevin in the sound booth. Actually, the voice in our heads. The forgotten one. We forgot him last week.
Hello.
Keyword
And in the
head.
studio, we also have Scott Jones. You know, the one who takes the fabulous pictures around all the music events. And tonight, our special guest is Brian Jones, formerly of Lillian Axe, Papercut Massacre, Atom Ship, and Full Moon Circle. And y'all should help me.
Circus.
Full Moon
See,
Circus.
y'all, I can't even read my handwriting.
No, that's good. It's all
y'all,
good.
I'm sorry.
It can be whatever.
We can edit that out.
It doesn't even matter.
Hey, Full Moon Circus.
Maybe it should have been Full Moon Circle.
Hey, I mean,
We may,
circus.
we may have
circle.
gotten further.
Y'all, I'm really not dumb. I've just had a long week.
That name may have worked better.
I agree.
In Kathy's defense, she was not around during those days.
I wasn't.
She was not in the scene. So.
You were a child.
I wasn't really around either.
Oh,
I mean, I was there, but I wasn't there.
yeah, mentally, huh?
No, mentally I wasn't there for sure.
So, Brian, we're so glad you're here with us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
And we've
Thank
had
you.
some great STSing already, and we didn't get it on camera. So,
We did.
we'll have to revisit some of that.
Yeah. Outside. I was like, okay. So
Yeah,
In the green
outside.
room.
talking about in here.
In the green room. Even in
We
here,
did.
no, we've had
Well,
some.
yeah,
we
before
talked
we
about D.
started.
Snyder already.
But we didn't record it.
No.
No
We
recording.
can't go back in time.
So, we'll have
Can
to
we go
start
back
a
in
new
time?
conversation.
Well, we can start over.
We could do like a
Yeah.
Huey Lewis.
What?
Back in time.
Oh,
Huey Lewis, dude.
yeah.
actually, we thought about covering that song.
Back
That's
to
a
the
great
future,
song.
Back
It
in
is.
time.
Huey
It
Lewis
is. It
rules.
is.
I love Huey Lewis.
I'm going to try not to use profanity.
Why?
Why the hell not?
That's just something I promised myself.
Oh, okay. That's
I'm kind of at one of these struggling points in my life. So
I got you. No profanity.
no,
I'm good with
Kevin
that.
looks like he's smoking a joint back there. I know he's not, but it's
a
like
vape.
all I keep seeing is like smoke. Look,
Cheech
it looks like
and Chong.
Snoop Dogg's in there because you can't see.
I told you I was going to look like Clayton in here.
Yeah,
Oh God.
had to get that out. Okay,
Yes.
Right.
Clayton has some stuff that it's like super thick when he blows it out. I'm like, dude, can't be good for your lungs.
yeah, I've tried vaping. It doesn't.
No, mate. His
Doesn't work for me.
stuff like, well, you can't see nothing in the room. You may as well be shooting lasers through it.
Yeah, his does shoot a long way.
What?
This is going to be a disaster.
But
Russ.
once again, he's made the show.
I know he's made the show, and he made it earlier tonight than ever.
Oh, you know what?
Wait.
I talked to him the other day.
Oh, wow.
A couple days ago.
Yeah?
And he was
Clayton?
Clayton.
Yeah, Clayton, yeah.
I hadn't seen Clayton in a
Yeah.
while.
I even invited him to come on the show, and he's like, no, man, I'm not good in front of a camera.
Hadn't seen Clayton in a bit.
Didn't he star on like Lord of the Rings or something?
Maybe.
I haven't seen any of those.
Yeah, he was the wizard guy.
Was that Gandalf?
Gandalf.
Yeah.
There we go.
That's right.
I was getting that and Harry Potter confused.
Dumbledore.
They are kind of the same.
They look the same. Well, weren't they just? I thought they were the same actor.
No, it's not.
There actually is a guy in the Harry Potter that looks like that.
Yeah,
I hope
knew
I'm
that.
not getting them confused.
No, I knew. I thought that was accurate.
Scott, you got a beard like that guy. Just saying.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
Off
That's what we're
subject.
supposed to be
I'm
doing.
sorry. Off subject.
No, I mean I don't even know where we're at.
D. Snyder. You said something about D. Snyder.
Yeah, D's great.
I want to know how he didn't lose any hair and he's 90.
He's not 90.
He's
but I
not
don't know.
90
He
yet,
is-
but he has beautiful
I don't know
hair.
how much- I
89.
don't know how old they. I don't know how old he is.
Kidding. He looks so intense. I actually saw a picture of him the other day, and it's recent, and he was like, getting after it, and his veins were popping out, and I was like, that dude is still getting after it. I really don't know how old he is, but he is intense. However old he is.
Well, let's say
I can Google
Stay
it.
Hungry came out in 84.
That's right.
84. Under the Blade was 83. No, 82. Excuse me. Electra. So we'll say, I'm going to take a guess and say that he is 67.
Okay, well, he's killing it because he is.
Google that. Let's see.
He is in
I'm
excellent
Googling it
shape
right
to be
now.
whatever he is.
And his vocal range is still.
He's 69.
69.
I was close.
Oh,
That's
the perfect
that was
number.
Awesome.
Yeah, I bet he
that's a
likes
good
that
number,
number.
though. Yeah.
He was born
Absolutely.
March 15th, 1955.
Wow. Okay, so I was close. But look at Sammy Hagar recently.
Oh, yes.
76, just turned
76.
76.
He looks
killing
great
it.
for his age.
I was
Killing
watching
it.
some videos of him
76
last
years
night
old.
in Nashville.
Yeah, and he hadn't aged a bit.
Man, well, you know,
Killing it.
he made a deal with Legba, so there's that. You know, so
Yeah.
yeah.
He made some kind of deal because it's working out for him.
Did you happen to see when Sammy and David Lee Roth came, and this is a long time ago, came out on stage to do some kind of award? It was so freaking awkward. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see that. I mean, I remember when they did that brief tour. I remember Best of Both Worlds, and they agreed to tour together for a while.
They would not talk.
No, they didn't talk or anything, and I thought it was. They pulled it off well, though. I think everybody still enjoyed it, but
I think Sammy actually wanted to be friends with the guy.
yeah, I mean, I think Sammy's always been legit. You know,
Yeah.
seems like I haven't met Sammy or anything. I don't
You
know
haven't?
Sammy. No, but
That needs to be a goal, man. I would love to meet that
yeah,
guy.
he seems like a very
You've met everybody.
Genuine.
I'm so jealous.
yeah.
He
I've
knows
been
it.
blessed to
Knows
meet a lot of
everybody,
people.
He does. And I got to say, Brian is one of the guys in Jackson. This is probably going to, hope it doesn't make anybody mad. But he actually went to the national level. What Daryl did too, actually, way back in the day.
Right.
And you had who else? Tommy Aldridge, but I mean, he's been long gone out of the situation.
Ty Tabor.
Ty Tabor.
Ty Tabor. But that's been
Ty actually mastered, 3 of our records.
Really?
So yeah, Ty's a sweetheart.
You know Ty real well?
Yeah, I mean he did great on those records.
Does he come back here at all?
No, he's between Texas and Missouri.
Is his family still here? They're gone.
To my knowledge, they not sure. I'm not sure what happened with them, if they passed away or what.
What about Tommy's family? I'm sure they're still here.
As Tommy's very old, man, so I don't know.
Well, they had Aldridge Jewelers back in the day. That was way back. But
Yeah,
I mean,
I do recall. Yeah, I remember that, but I don't know. To my knowledge, Tommy doesn't get back here very often. From what my friends that are friends with him, I don't know.
You were on the phone earlier today. You were mentioning Johnny Crocker. And so I've done I've done some tree work for him. And
Johnny's a sweetheart.
and
Man,
so-
I did some recording for Johnny,
Yeah.
way back. Yeah.
So Johnny,
What a legend in this area.
yeah, he
He's
calls-
awesome.
He calls me one day and he goes, Tommy came by my house, and I was like, you got to be kidding me. Yeah, I mean, he come by looking for him because apparently they all knew each other back in the day.
Definitely.
And
Johnny,
Tommy's sister lives by Johnny.
yeah. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Tommy may come back
And
here
learned it.
often. Yeah, he may come and probably eats at HD Gibbs.
Hey,
He does because there's nothing
yeah.
else to do out in the
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, I don't know if he comes back very often, but yeah, Johnny's a sweetheart, man. Johnny gave me a lot of advice years and years and years ago. I would just pick his brain.
Have you been to his house?
No,
Super
I
nice
haven't.
house over there. Got a good bit of acreage over there. He's
When he was still gigging frequently, I would run into him and we'd always sit down and chat. Sherman Lee Dillon, same way. Another local.
Yeah.
Local
Still
legend.
gigging.
I took
Yeah, he's
lessons
still
at,
killing it.
Yeah.
I took guitar lessons in the very beginning at the shop he worked at.
At Richard's Music.
No, it
Was
was
it
before
Richard's?
that. Before that.
don't-
Oh gosh, what was his name?
Oh, I remember.
It was over across from Westland Plaza.
Yeah, that's a long
Old
time ago.
jazzy
Way
kind
back.
of player was the owner.
Ralph Sims.
Nope. I shouldn't have even mentioned it. Now this is going to drive me crazy the rest of the podcast.
Yeah, I don't remember. I remember Sherman going to Richard's Music there on Old Canton.
Yeah.
You remember that, Russ?
no, I don't remember Dick's music.
That wasn't before your time, was it?
It was, man.
Richard's. Well,
Hey, I love the shirt, by the way.
thank you, man. They're great.
I saw them.
I saw them live too.
You
They're
saw him.
great.
I said hello to you that night. That was the night you went
We
to
were
see
in-
him, Iron Maiden, when they opened for Maiden.
It was in Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were there?
Dude, so that
I remember that because you said you had backstage, you bastard.
Yeah, so with Lillian and I took off. I think 3 weeks. I mean, I booked the band, so I took off for like 3 weeks.
That's right.
And I went on this, like, you would have thought that I was some deadhead, like, traveling. I just said, look, my daughters are good. Just got them into the school. They're cool. My parents are going to hang out and watch them, take care of them. I'm going to go on a freaking road trip.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And I'd only been fresh maybe 4 years after my very well publicized horrible divorce. And at any rate, so, and
Was that
my
the
daughter.
Inquirer?
Inquirer?
No, I wasn't. It was on Metal Sludge. It was on
okay.
Brave Words and all the metal sites. It was ridiculous.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it was stupid. Anyway,
Wow.
so because of the contents of things, but it was retarded. But so I decided to take like 3 weeks off.
Therapy.
Yeah.
you go.
And so I went, I've seen Ghost a total of 18, 19 times.
Wow.
I liked them before people.
How are you
even knew
doing?
who they were.
That's what the guy was saying. How are you doing? Like,
Excuse me. And so during that week, it was like a 3 week period.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like literally just staying in hotels. And then I came back home one time and got on one of my motorcycles and decided I was going to bike it up.
and how many motorcycles do you have, Brian Jones?
6.
Holy
Damn.
man.
And one butt. And that makes no sense. I only need one motorcycle.
How many
but
Harleys?
4.
Wow.
This is
A
the
Triumph
true
and
rock star right
Triumph
here.
and an Indian. No, it's just an idiot that spent money for no reason. It's like Kevin and I were talking about earlier.
How many car garage? And
The
does it
47
elevate?
guitars.
Right.
And I don't play them.
Yeah, and
Literally.
I play, and I've only got 30. Only 30.
Yeah, but you still play electric. I don't even play electric, which is stupid. But back to that story. So I went and saw Ghost during that 3 week period, I think 7 or 8, 9 times. And then Metallica was on that. So
cool.
that's right after Hardwired to Destruct. That was in the, because when Metallica puts out records, as you know, I know you're a huge Metallica fan.
Mm-hmm.
They tour for 3-4 years,
Okay.
nonstop. Everybody knows that. Their album cycle and their touring cycle, that's why they spread out so long on their album releases, because they tour it constantly.
So they make a lot of money.
Easily 3.7 million a show. If you want to,
you think they're getting like $1.50 a show?
they're making about 3.7.
Somebody's getting paid.
They're making about 3.7 million. And I love Taylor Swift. Don't get me wrong. My daughter's like, I don't care. People can hate on me, whatever. Brilliant songwriter. And people, I know she's like the easy person to dislike, kind of like people are with Nickelback. And I always thought that was interesting.
I love Nickelback.
Because here's
I
the
do
kicker.
too.
Here's the kicker.
They're good.
All these people that supposedly hate Nickelback, how have they, when record sales were still relevant, how the hell have they been platinum as many times as they were?
Well, it's the
Right.
thing like Winger.
It's
they
like-
were hacking on that dude for a while. I'm like,
Yeah.
you're an idiot for hacking on him because he's a great
Kip and I,
writer.
and we talked about that a long time at length.
What did he say? Did you tear that chair up?
No, I didn't. I think I
Kevin's gonna
pushed
make you
it
pay for
down.
that.
I pushed it down. But like, well, that's a whole different story. We talked about that on Monsters Rock. But the same thing with Taylor Swift. What I was getting at is like, even during that run, that was back in, so when I took a 3 week little sabbatical, that was 18. From 2018, and it crossed over.
Into 20.
No, because I came home 3 days for Christmas. That's how I
Okay.
knew it came over from 18 into 19.
Okay.
Long enough to get my bike and to hang out with my daughters
The
and stuff
sixth
for
one.
Christmas. So, and then I caught 6 or 7 Metallica shows. But
Okay.
they do every other day because of their production. And that's when Avenged Sevenfold and all them were out. It was Avenged
Nice.
Sevenfold and, they played Dallas Stadium where the Cowboys play. And it was completely, you couldn't even, it was sold out. That's 103,000 people. And people always talk about these huge shows like Taylor and all this. I'm like, Metallica's been doing this 20 years.
So let me ask you about an Iron
At the
Maiden
arena
show.
level.
So is Iron Maiden shows that big or
No, nowhere close.
so Metallica's the one?
Oh, God, they're untouchable. They rule the metal world. I mean, I went to see Priest a few months ago in May in Mobile at the Mobile Civic Center. That holds 11,000 like our Coliseum.
Okay.
And it wasn't even half full. It's sad. A lot of that is today's,
Sure, I get it,
today's
yeah.
society and. Well, I don't want to get started on that because we're not going to talk.
No politics?
Yeah, no, unfortunately, but
Well, the economy
I
does
wish we
suck.
could.
So
No,
that's
It
it.
does.
yeah, that's just a fact. That doesn't matter what aisle you're on.
Right.
It sucks, but so I think. Plus, it was a Sunday, and it was the day before. It was Father's Day, so I just went and hung out and went to see Priest, and there was only. Maybe, and I'm being really nice when I say this, 3,500 at most.
Were they?
Wow.
Did they act different? Did they say anything about
No,
it?
you would have thought there was 8 million people.
Because when Crew back in was it Carnival of Sins, 2006, maybe?
2007.
7, okay. I was probably 7th row on that one, and Vince made a comment like, this is kind of a smaller crowd, but it was about half full. And so he did make a comment. He noticed that it wasn't like it was back on the, Dr. Feelgood or Girls. And I was like, yeah, I'm kind of embarrassed for them.
Yeah. So if it's Carnival of Sins?
It was Carnival. It absolutely.
That was 2013. Sorry. Well, I don't know why I said that.
It was definitely Carnival of Sins.
With the Alice Cooper co-headline? Or with Kiss?
Dude, I can't.
Because remember, they
had to been,
they were opening for Kiss. The Carnival of Sins tour.
In Jackson they were?
No, they not. So if you're talking about Jackson.
This was Jackson. Yeah, back then I couldn't travel very far. Me and
I
Jeremy
don't remember
Rainey
them
went to
coming
that
back
show.
to the Coliseum since Feel Good.
They did.
Really?
Because after that, Chip got him over. Got Vince over at Fire. And
no, Vince was at the dock.
Well, he went to Fire that night because this was when
to
Fire
play.
No. He went as a guest.
Yeah, okay. I knew about that. I thought you
because I was so jealous of Jeremy. Remember Jeremy Rainey?
Yeah, of course. I talked to Jeremy the other day.
So Jeremy got back sitting on the couch with him, and I'm like, you asshole. I was like, I'm the 80s fan. You're like a kid. And he got back,
I think, dude, okay, I got to correct you because I know exactly what you're talking about. Because he was back there with me. So, I can see why, because we're both huge fans. I could see why you would get confused on this.
I stay confused, man.
So that was before Fire really opened. The back room was Fire. It was when it was just Cadillacs, that front room. Buddy Fortner, who you have a history with because of Hurricane, opened up for me. And you're talking about Piercy because I asked Jeremy to come back there. He said he wanted to meet Stephen Piercy.
Actually, I remember that show too.
That's who we were back there talking to.
Okay.
Because I don't, honestly, I'd have to, let's get our fact checker. Let's see when Motley Crue was last in Jackson.
Okay.
I think, I could be wrong because the Carnival of Souls tour, the closest one, to my knowledge, was in Birmingham because I went with Chase Lexi.
Okay.
Before Chase passed.
Right.
Which I'm going to be wrong on the year because Chase passed in August of 2010, I believe. So it had to have been prior to prior to August.
Right.
And Jeff was with me because Jeff had broken his ankle.
I saw him the other day too.
Yeah, Jeff had broken his ankle. And so we had to drive home because he had something at the studio in Pearl that he had to do. So, but I could be wrong. I don't recall them coming to Jackson on that tour, but I could be wrong.
One reason I remember that I think I'm right is because Jeremy was with me, and they were doing Kickstart My Heart. And you know how that intro is kind of hard to do. Well, it's not really hard, but you can easily mess it up.
Sure.
And I forget. I guess it was one of them messed it up, and the whole band turned around and looked at Tommy, and he was like, and they finally got back on the backbeat and come in right. And Jeremy's like, they messed up. He kept elbowing. They messed up. I was like, of course they do every now and then. You know what I mean? They're not perfect, but
I remember.
But only musicians have noticed that kind of stuff.
There's a date for 1990. Would it be after that?
Yes, it would.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That was the Feel Good tour because that was 89.
Yeah, I was there on that one too.
Yeah, I was at that one.
Okay.
And I'm trying to remember who opened that show. I want to say Warrant.
No, I couldn't remember that now, but that's yeah, you're probably
I
right.
want to say Warrant opened that show.
It could have been because I remember Warrant coming. A lot of the guys from Warrant came to the Creek after the show.
I know Warrant came with Cinderella and what's it, Bullet Boys or
that was Cinderella, Winger, and Bullet
okay,
Boys,
that's right. Okay.
And they all did Sweet Home Alabama at the end of the show.
So something that's we haven't mentioned yet is the doc. Now,
Sure.
did Janie go to the doc?
Yes.
After one of those shows, what all happened at the dock?
He actually so he did play at the dock. My favorite story with Janie, and I got to know him, through the years, was when Chip had him over at Buffalo Chips, North, and he was still with He was still with Warren at that period, so that was before he left Warren, and we just we hung out all night and had a blast or whatever. And ironically, this is funny because this is before I was in Lillian. I knew this whole story about Janie Lane almost being the singer for Lillian.
Tell me about that because I've heard a little bit about that, but I don't know that I've heard the right version. So tell me about that.
So he and Steve had a great rapport, met one another through Janie doing his bands and stuff. He didn't have Warrant. I mean, he had a cover band, and I can't recall the name. And would throw in some originals here and there, and they would play the circuit, play the Creek and all these places. And so Steve and he got to talking. They met. Steve had him come out, and they worked on some music together. And it came down to
did they eat cherry pie?
I don't know because they both were down boys. I mean, I don't know.
I just had to throw that in.
Sorry, I'm going to interrupt just for a second. Our other fact checker said 2006. Does that sound right?
In Jackson? Mm-hmm. Good job, Russ.
Hey, look at that.
You stumped me,
right
dude.
about
I felt like
something.
Eddie Trunk. You stumped.
All right.
I honestly don't remember that show because I would have went.
Did I trump the stump?
Yeah,
The stump the trump? Which is it?
And
I've been drinking too much. I don't know.
if our good friend Dirty D was here, he would have known that. I don't
Yes,
know how
he would have.
I don't know how
He
I
would have
missed
said, Russ, you're right.
that. We were just talking to Daryl before we went on air. We were talking. He was talking to Kevin on speakerphone up there. Okay, well, I screwed up. Now I do. Who opened that show? Did it say?
I don't
Who
think.
opened?
That's
Kim,
gonna
you
piss
remember?
me off.
Gee,
That's gonna bother
now?
the crap out of me.
She went to the show and she said she doesn't remember anybody
I
opening.
don't think there was an opener, but you could safely say White Line because they opened everybody back in the day.
No, but unfortunately, the White Line's last show was in '91, and Mike's the sweetest cat you'll ever meet in the rock world. Literally, just
And he'll travel anywhere for a show, won't he?
dude, because he's given his life to rock and roll. His whole mantra and his whole mentality is just brilliant.
So, question about that.
Sweet guy.
Did you ever get to meet Vito?
No, Vito.
Oh, man, that guy.
I mean, Mike
I'm still
hasn't
trying
talked-
to figure him out.
Mike hasn't talked to Vito since '91. Since the
Very
last show.
sad.
That dude just kind of disappeared.
Hey, did you get some
Yeah,
pictures?
he has nothing to do with Yeah, so Mike still carries the flag. It was Mike's band. He
I know,
wrote
but
the
that's
music.
insane because that guy was so good.
Yeah, but Marcus, who's playing for Mike now, and they're out on the run right now. I talked to Mike 2 days ago, and it was today, Friday. I talked to him Wednesday. We're gonna have dinner when he comes. You're welcome to come with us if you would like.
I sure would like to.
It's
Take lessons from the guy.
It's
too,
an-
by the
come
way.
too?
It's an off night. Yes, it's an off night on Monday night at Southport, New Orleans.
Okay.
And
I need to get back there anyway. I played
you
Southport.
played there. Yeah, Mark had
LA
great,
Guns. Yeah.
Mark had great things to say about you. Mark's a dear friend of mine, the owner.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, and he said he loved you guys. Really good thing.
Thank you.
Good job for y'all. And I do remember y'all opened up because Ace plays for LA Guns now, and my relationship with Ace dates back to 2012
Okay.
when we all were touring together when he was in Faster Pussycat.
Okay. So the LA Guns the other day at Silver Star.
Ace was still with him, yeah.
Well, there was 3 of them, and I don't know which. I know the drummer was one.
And then Johnny Martin plays bass, and then Ace, and then of course Tracy.
Well, we got a call from the entertainment manager Sunday, and he was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm eating tacos. What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I don't want to disturb you." And I was like, "This is going to be bad or good, you know?" And because they don't call you on Sundays. And he was like, "They had the best thing to say about you." And I was like, "Thank you for
Yeah,
that." They
Ace said he watched you guys out in the crowd.
But here's the
Daryl talked to him for a
thing:
minute.
they were passing through as it dumped out into the Starlight. They were going to go put their stuff up, and then they came back. They said, "Let's go back, put our stuff up, but come back." They were going to go on and go to bed, and they came back. They stayed the whole night. Jeff Mans was there, and anyway, it was good.
Brugman's was there, huh?
Brugman, yeah, but dude,
Yeah, I did know that.
oh, he
'cause-
was talking. Look, that dude was talking politics and me. He's like, I ain't gonna get into that. But he was giving.
And
some
that's so
folks
rare
hell.
for a Canadian, a Canuck, to be
Well,
all. Yeah, you
He
need
don't
to go
hold
handle
his
your
tongue, brother.
No,
He'll
he
tell
doesn't.
it like it is.
I was texting with him the other day, and I was like, "Dude, what are you going to do about your?" And then we'll cut it off here. Your insane prime minister up in the Great White North in Canada, and he just started laughing. But God, we went around in a big circle. So I think we were talking about the Metallica shows, but so they play. I mean, it's commonplace for them to play. They don't play for less than 80,000 people. I mean, so. Think about it. I mean, just look at
So they're never coming to Jackson's, what you're saying.
God, no.
Right.
No, Lord, no. I mean, that's not even a thought, and it's not that they can't accommodate us.
Sure.
I mean, their production alone is bigger than our Coliseum. Their staging alone is bigger than our Coliseum. Go look at the recent videos.
No, I have, dude. They have
for 72 seasons.
They have a circular stage.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they've had that for a while.
And on Hardwired to Self-Destruct, they had literally, it was the size. So, like, again, you got the Dallas Cowboy Stadium. Well, the staging went all the way, and a football field is 100 yards. So it went all the way halfway past general admission, the GA. So into the floor, just the staging, the big old thing. So they could walk all the way out. I mean, and you're talking your band's 75, 100 yards behind you. I mean, talking about the length of a football field. That's how big it is. And so, so bands like that, and like Maiden, perfect example. Yeah, they can they'll overseas in Europe and stuff, they play soccer stadiums.
And in South America too.
Yeah, of course, huge, 200,000 fans. But in the States, the last time, and I'll go see, I'm seeing them in Little Rock in November. But
do you need a partner?
I had told you, I think I wrote you and said, are you going to go to that show? I thought I did. I thought we talked about that.
But I need a ride because I don't have a lot of money.
Okay,
so
you can ride, of course.
Can I ride with a real
Hurricane makes tons of money.
Come on, man.
Can I ride with a real rock star?
Oh, whatever, dude. I go by
star.
myself anyway. I mean, that's what I love doing. That's like my time to decompress. I still try to go out and learn something.
This Kevin could go on forever talking to him because he's got a ton of stuff. But I want to ask you this. Like, so when you got in Lillian and you started meeting all these people, and Kathy, jump in.
So
you're being quiet. You're being quiet.
Are we starting backwards and going backwards? Or you
I know I'm jumping all over the place.
No, it's fine, y'all. I'll jump in when I need to.
Like band-wise, you want to start at Lillian.
Well,
okay.
I mean, I just want to know
go ahead.
It doesn't matter to me.
We can start wherever, but I just want to know, were you like shocked when you finally met all of these people?
Well, when I was, first of all, again, my dad was taking me shows when I was a kid.
But were you meeting them?
Of course, yeah.
Okay.
So
Was your dad into music or anything?
Yeah, of course. He raised me on Thin Lizzy and.
But I mean, was he in the
Aerosmith.
business?
Yeah. No, not at all. But yeah, he raised me on Old Cooper and Thin Lizzy and Simon and Garfunkel, just an array of just an amazing talent. And so, but yeah, so I remember going back. I mean, heck, that's where I met Daryl and all those guys and Trevor and all those. I was 13 going to the Creek, but I was gigging at that point too. So I played.
You and Dewey were about the only two guys out there that were so young, right?
Yeah, and he was a year older than me, and Jason was playing gigs there, and Van de Veer, and Southern Grunge was well after Creek, and I was gigging there.
Who were you playing with there?
Subjective Green. Michael Sullivan was my drummer. I remember y'all had a guest. It was Eric, because Eric was in a real heavy band, death metal, whatever you want to call him, with Michael. And I still talk to Michael to this day. He was one of my favorite drummers to play with. And Jason Miller at the time. Miller,
really?
a hell of a guitar player. And I don't know what happened to Jason. And then Mike Dawson, who moved to Connecticut, where Chris Brown ended up moving. And Mike was a bass player, but ended up playing guitar and was a hell of a guitar player. And they did real well. You may remember when they came down. They toured a little while. Southern Bastard Church. Do you remember that name?
I remember that name.
Chris Brown played when he moved to Connecticut. He joined that band. So that was my first band. It was Subjective Green. It was I take that back. My first band prior to that was Severed Tear, and I know you've heard Crawford making fun of that name, and so it was me and Chris Crawford.
So y'all went to school together, right?
Yeah, and Brian Shannon and Chris Brown. So I was with Chris. We taught Chris into playing bass, which is amazing. Yeah,
that's awesome.
I know, but it's what's so ironic because he didn't even have a bass, right? So we said, hey, we're going to start a band, and we were 11 years old. And so we went with Chris's dad. He lived in my neighborhood. We went with Chris's dad, myself, and
you were in Byram.
Yeah, right at the line about South Jackson at that time. And Chris Brown and I went with his dad, and he got his first bass. And he picked it up and just learned like a sponge so instantly. And dude, he was ready to roll literally in a month and knew all kinds of stuff. So at age 12, I played my first gig, and it was a party. But here's the thing. Some people say they just play a gig, right? And then it spreads out years later. I mean, months later, they may play another gig. Dude, I can honestly say, Chris Crawford can attest to this. Anybody that's played that was in that band, Crawford, Chris Brown, and Brian Shannon, we played every weekend, and we were 12 years old. So my dad would take all of our gear. Mm-hmm. Dude, we didn't know what a freaking PA was, right? So I would sing through a 212.
Oh, yeah.
To a 212 Ampeg amp.
I've been there.
Oh my God!
And then I would play through another Ampeg 212 guitar amp. They were fucking stacked.
Right. Well, you're making it happen, though.
Yeah, but we didn't know what a
12?
fucking PA was, dude.
Yeah, I
but we
remember
were really
plugging
good.
out.
And backup vocals, didn't even exist. We didn't know what the hell that was. So, but dude, we were the life of the party. And so we'd go and play these parties, and they would pay us money. We'd play one party at a girl's house one weekend. I mean, her parents would be, and sometimes the parents weren't
What were you
there.
paid with?
Cash. I don't have any cool stories back then, but I mean, it was like
I wasn't going to go there, but okay.
$60 to $100. But remember when we were kids back then?
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah,
It was
is.
a lot of money.
I mean, because I'm old, dude. So that was a lot of money back
You
then.
are.
You're not that old.
And then the next week, do the same thing. And the next week, and the next week. And we just kept going. And then we did our talent show at Sywell Junior High in South Jackson and won it. And we
Wow.
did. I can tell you the
wonder
year.
Full
'cause
Moon Circus was so good because y'all been playing very.
Well, it wasn't Full Moon.
I
It was
know,
just
but the
Crawford
same
and I.
guys, you and him.
And well, you have a great relationship with Crawford because he played with Hurricane a lot. And so, but Crawford and I he's always going to be my brother. Like, that's my go-to guy. And we can go months without talking.
And he likes weapons too.
Yeah, he does. He loves the Second Amendment, and as do I. I have 29 guns. But I can call Crawford, and he's my go-to guy, and I still think he's one of the best drummers I've ever played with. But
He's really good.
He's amazing, and so we would play shows, and I mean, you know, we started so freaking young, but we continued to do it, and that's all I've known for
Forever.
November will make my 38th year
Wow.
full time.
You've been at it a really long time.
Yeah, and so we won that talent show, and then things just started happening. And Chris's parents wanted him to concentrate more on sports in school, which I understand. So Crawford had to step back for a bit. So we got another drummer, who is Paul Heindel,
I don't know him.
Jason Turner's old drummer, who is at a college, and I don't know what college, but brilliant drummer, more of a jazz kind of Buddy Rich kind of drummer thing going, but. He got acclimated to the Queensryche and the stuff we were doing at that time, and we played with him briefly, and then because Crawford had to bail out, and then I ended up getting with things kind of just went their way, and so I ended up getting with Jason Miller, Michael Sullivan, and Mike Dawson, and we called ourselves Subjective Green. And
Now, this is not the Jason Miller people know now, right? This is a different Jason Miller?
it's
Okay.
another Jason Miller.
Okay.
And hell of a guitar player, and I mean, could just shred and do all this Yngwie crazy stuff. And so we wrote original stuff, and we were just playing stupid music, which was really good. And at that time, I was trying to focus more on guitar playing, more so than vocals, or being a good not being a good vocalist, but trying to be a singer, because that's not ever really what I wanted to do. And so we started playing. We played the Creek. Then we started playing the Sun. And I remember, this is a funny story. That band, we played the Midnight Sun. Dirty D was DJing. And we opened for, I have several of these stories.
Midnight Sun was on the corner
of Capitol.
Right there by the Iron Horse, right?
Yeah, Capitol.
Okay, yeah.
And we got lucky, and they asked us to open. Well, I mean, it's not lucky in the sense like money. It was, I mean, it paid us little to nothing, but that part's cool. We had an amazing crowd, but no one knew who they were watching at the time. It wasn't us. That's not what I'm getting at. The band we were opening for played a song. This is a true story. And you need to get Daryl on this show one day because his stories are
I was thinking that.
amazing.
Maybe y'all both need to be on here at the same time.
Yeah. But then you ever seen Stranger Things? We always tease each other about being in the upside down. All the the shit hits the like our stories. People would not even believe if we told the stuff we go through.
I took lessons from Rob Plafkin.
I mean, our stories are just insane. But so Daryl was there that night. We ended up playing with a band that wrote a little song called "Hold My Hand." Does that ring a bell? Think real hard. They ended up being one of the biggest bands in the world for about 10, 15 years.
My brain's not working today.
So after,
the Beatles.
No, no, I'm not that old.
We're on a time warp here.
After that show, about 3 weeks later, I hear a song on the radio, and I hear things that I won't forget them. I remember. So like, that's a catchy melody. Who the hell is this? DJ after the song announces who it is, and they had blown up at this point. Number one everywhere. But 3 weeks prior, we were playing with them at Midnight Sun. It just shows you how quickly back then things could happen in the music industry. Right. It was Hootie and the Blowfish.
Wow.
Second show we played in Midnight Sun a couple of weeks later. Played for a little band called 311. No one knew who they were. Blew up later.
Yeah.
Better Than Ezra. Same thing. I was 14 years old.
Wow.
So, I mean, I was just absorbing all this stuff and just learning so much, and I was so grateful. And all of that stuff happened, and then I just kept playing music, and through many different band variations and stuff. And Crawford and I would always come back, and then we decided I'd gotten married. I was about to get married. What was I to my first wife? And Crawford had just gotten divorced.
I didn't know he was
divorced. So it was like we were.
So he wasn't with Angie yet.
No.
I got you. Okay.
That's a whole nother story.
Oh.
But I got a good story on that one. So like it's like fire and water, oil and water. It's like so here Chris is getting out of a relationship, had just gotten divorced, and I'm getting married. So Chris has, hey bro, let's put the band back together.
Of course, why not?
And I said, okay. Well, I mean, but I had never stopped music. I was still doing my solo shows. I thought that's always been a constant. I've always done solo shows for 35 years. Mm-hmm. So that's nothing new. But like as far as the band, so the entrance of Full Moon comes in. Me and Chris were hanging out one night. He asked me to go have a beer with him at Hallam House to talk. And I thought it was odd. I thought he was wanting to talk about and he was happy as hell about the divorce. So I thought that's what he was wanting to talk and like, hey, I need some advice.
That's right.
I get there and he's buzzed and he has some grandiose plans. Hey man, I miss the old days. I was like, well, dude, I'm playing with so-and-so. But yeah, we'll do it. And so this is when the Clarion Ledger still existed. I mean, I think it still does, but it's some, never mind.
It's not a paper anymore.
Yeah. Nothing's the same.
That paper is usually left on the shelf. Get it? Mm-hmm. On the left on the shelf.
Haha.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
And I leave it right there.
There you go. Maybe burn it
right there.
Burn it
because it's left there, and I'll leave it right there. Anyway, so we put an ad in the paper for a guitar player, and
loud, rude, aggressive guitar player.
No, I don't even remember. It wasn't a cool ad. Like we didn't put like a lot of thought into it. We just said rock guitar player needed, blah blah blah, lead player needed, whatever. And the next day, I think after it had gone into the paper, we get a call from a Canton number.
Oh, wonder who that could be.
Enter Don Grant. So Don has now been with me over 20 years. And I mean, I would die for that guy. Who doesn't love Don? So Don's an amazing talent, amazing guitar player.
And he knows like 2,000 songs.
Yeah,
he knows a lot of songs.
Yeah, and so that was the incarnation of Full Moon, and we had a bass player.
So who come up with the name?
Don came up with Moon Circus.
Nice.
And I ended up, he didn't want to mess with the trademark or any of that, so I ended up buying everything. So I own the name Full Moon. I own
you know what? I've been
logo
asking
and all
you
that.
for a shirt forever.
We still have tons. And Crawford is the best hoarder ever because he's got like
You
designs.
said breast?
Breast hoarder.
Yeah, he's got good breasts, but he's got
Is
like
he the breast?
No, I said he's the best hoarder ever.
Best hoarder.
Yeah, because he's got shirts that
Not
I forgot
hoarder.
that we had designs on, dude. Like, and he'll wear them one every now and then. I'm like, I forgot we had that design. We had some really cool shirts, and I wish I had all of them, but I do have some. But he has all of them.
Do you have anything that could fit me, like fat ass size?
Like, not fat, dude. I got a
4X.
smile for you. You would look
Thank
so
you.
sweet.
Like I stole it off your little brother.
You need to put it on.
Your
that.
nipples are poking.
You need to put it
Dude,
on.
yeah, I'll get some pasties and put on, so I won't be so excited
You
for
need to
y'all.
wear it on that stage.
I will. I will.
And shake your little thing, boy.
There you go. I'm ready.
So, yeah, but and so Don came in, and we had a bass player at the time, George, and
His last
George
name
was
Lopez?
great. George was great. He was more into the chili pepper kind of thing. He was a great bass player, good slapper and all that. And he played with us for about 2 years, and then we ended up. Chris Brown came back down from Connecticut. It just made sense.
That guy's, man, he's...
There's nothing he can't play.
So he
and
was-
I will put him up against anybody. Like
I would too.
I know there's some amazing bass players. I won't even name drop, but Brown is up there. He just
is he Billy Sheehan level?
no, I don't think he did.
What?
Who
Billy
is?
Sheehan's in a different world.
I know.
So and his love. We were talking
owns
about
the
Ty
universe.
Tabor. We had a long conversation, but on several Monsters of Rock about Billy with Billy. We were eating together. He and I and Steve about his love for King's X.
You and Billy?
Man, I love
Yeah.
King's X.
And
I've talked to him briefly.
sweetheart.
About the
Yeah, you
tapping
and I
stuff.
talked about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
and he's such a sweetheart guy. So yeah, I forget Full Moon. So Chris Brown came back down from Connecticut. We got the band together. Boom, started booking, and we stayed out. Our goal was to beat US. That was our goal. And they're dear friends of ours, but it was
Yeah.
it was a
Well, it's
competition. It's like I
always
told Kevin out there,
competition.
and we didn't have that
It's
much.
friendly.
We didn't have that much of a competition with the Pigs, but we were more similar to US, except we just got in trouble a lot. That was kind of what we were known for.
So y'all were throwing TVs out of windows.
We were in trouble
and
a
stuff
lot,
like that,
dude.
blowing up
A
cars.
lot.
Did you shoot the TV?
If my mom and dad watched
pull
this,
an
I don't even
Elvis?
want to say this stuff. We did some stupid shit.
So you did shoot a TV.
You snort some ants?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know. I don't have any cool drug stories.
Would you lick up Kevin's pee?
Ooh.
That's an edit.
Motley Crue
That's an
thing.
edit.
Well, that was during my drinking days. I probably would have.
Don't be scared, Kevin.
I probably would have during my drinking days, but so we did a bunch of ignorant stuff, and so Chris was with us 3 or 4 years. I mean, we were playing the circuit, same play. I mean, all the 13 states. We were everywhere.
Y'all did a lot
We were
of traveling.
up with US. I mean, we were there, and I'll still put us against US.
that's
We
a
just
good
didn't
goal.
have US's money.
But that's a good goal, man, because
the
they've
production.
accomplished a lot, and y'all did
Of
too.
course, and I still love those guys. Like I said, I talked to Jeff yesterday, but our goal, that was our mentality, was to try to always be the best we could be by getting or soaking in what we could from other bands. So when we were which was rare, we would go see US and Spank the Monkey and all these bands. This was early 2000s or 2001, 2002-ish. And when we were doing really well at the Dock, and before the Dock closed in 2005, and Swamp and La Vila and all these just everywhere. And then Chris had to leave. Here comes Joey Tannehill. Joey was a great kid until he got in our band. And boy,
And y'all corrupted.
you need to get Joey on here too, because Joey has some funny stories. I don't think should I tell the story that I told Joe outside?
Do it.
Yeah, I'm not scared.
Do.
Well, Joey wouldn't mind me telling this because Joey. I mean, we've had this conversation. I mean, my parents even know this story. So Joey, so we brought Joey in. Joey added a new. Joey and Chris are very similar, but Joey's more of a showman, and Chris gladly admits that. Chris is more of an aggression. Joey's a showman, but
Right.
Joey's actually a very good technical.
No, he
bass
is,
player.
but I know that Chris is more like a Dream Theater.
Yeah,
type
so
guy,
we were
you know?
more of a heavy band at that time with Chris. So we were doing the heavier Papa Roach, like their debut record, and like System of a Down, early stuff, that kind of stuff. But we still did the Motley Crue. So we had several genres in there, and Don could play anything. And what I felt like I couldn't play, I just dropped the guitar on and I sang, whatever. And so, because Don was the lead player. And Don was kind of like my Keith, and I hoped that I was like his Mick. And we worked off of each other real well. And so Joey, his very first show, sold out show, was at the Pink Pony. And we were already established at this point at the Pony. And this is when the internet was really kind of first taking off. So they were
AOL.
Yeah, they were concentrating. It was dial up. They were concentrating on the live stream.
I'll never forget that.
24 hours to download one song. Thank you, Lars.
So they were concentrating on the live stream thing, right? So like the whole gimmick is, hey man, if you can't come party with thousands, at least watch it on the website. It was free or whatever. So you go to Pink Pony's website, whatever. And it was like a 4-screen, split screen thing, right? Well, one is like of the crowd enjoying themselves. One's a couple of stage shots. There wasn't one facing the bar, I guess for obvious reasons, security or whatever. Because anybody in the world could watch this stuff, right?
Yeah.
So our performance, that's already nerve-wracking anyway. So Joey's first show, we hadn't been there maybe in a couple of weeks, 3 weeks prior. Chris played his last show, one of his last shows there with us. Mm-hmm. And they told us about this technology when we got there. Well, a couple of days before we got an ownership had changed, and he called me and said, hey, we're doing something new. Do you mind signing something stating that you don't mind being filmed? And I was like, whatever. I mean, I was drunk when he called. I was like, yeah, let's do it. And because that's when I drank, a lot. And then it's over like 16 years now, but it's
Congratulations.
Thank you. I was a madman. It was like a fifth and a half a day of Jameson.
Oh, wow.
And I was insane. Asked the guys. It was stupid. So they had like a four TV split screen thing. And like I said, one facing the crowd, rocking out, a couple on the stage, and then just one of the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
And where was this?
This is the Pink Pony. And so they were kind of like pioneers. And then I remember a couple of months later, La Vila started it. Swamp did it briefly, but the Swamp didn't want to cut into their bottom line. They wanted people to be there physically. And we were huge in all of those markets. But so I was getting paid at the end of the night. Like I said, it was a sold out crowd. We had a really good night. We played well. We were hammered. Joey was hammered. This was like his first time out really playing out of town. Because prior he had been into the Jason Turner band, and they pretty much stayed local. And Jason's dear, sweet, but one of my best friends, probably definitely my best friend. And but they primarily stayed here. They would do some frat gigs here and there, but they stayed within the state. So for Joey, this was a major thing because we were already an established band. We worked really hard to get there, and so I couldn't find Joey. I was getting paid. Sum it up. They had the TV screens showing, what the people are watching on the internet.
Okay.
So I'm getting paid by the bar owner. Don had already loaded the truck. That was like Don's gig, right? So Don, you couldn't screw with Don's shit. Like, Don would try to be Hercules and pick up every piece of equipment. He stood that to this day. He will not let you touch his stuff. I'm like, Don, bro, what are you doing? I mean, he's over here double fisting like stacks and shit.
Yeah, he's not some big guy either.
Yeah, no, but dude, you would think he could lift a bulldozer. It was stupid. And that was Don's thing. So I would handle business, Don would handle PA, and Chris would handle his drums.
And where was Joey?
And that's what I'm getting at. I was getting paid, and I was divvying up the money at the bar because at that point enough people had gotten out that it was fine. There was security, whatever. And it was a good amount of money. I mean, and couldn't find Joey. And we were about to go back to the band house. And Don had finally come up to tell me that he had finished the truck. I'll never forget the story. Mind you, Joey found out about this, by the way, too, about the new live stream technology. Had told his dad, his mom, all of that. Big Christian family. Great people. So they're watching on said said live stream on the Pink Pony's website. Couldn't find Joey, and it's about like where this light is. And I just happened to I don't know where he's at. I'm just kind of just like browsing, kind of you're browsing, killing time, just waiting. And I took a double take. So like I said, remember there are 4 panels of the TV? on one screen, but it's like 4 little boxes showing you what angle, each angle. And that's the same thing that the people on the internet are watching.
Oh, no.
Love it.
Dude, this is 2003. I mean, this is new shit, right? Well, all we see is Joey's ass. We're on the moonlight cam, by the way. The one that shows the piers, just like the perfect, beautiful sun, like
The ocean.
moonlight, ocean rippling. Joey's ass, and the moon is hitting his ass perfectly, so where the light is showing on Joey's ass, and you see forward motion ahead of Joey.
He was exercising.
And a nice shadow effect on said pier that Joey's standing on. So Joey, on his first show with full moon, is getting
Was giving a full moon.
Joey was getting
Giving other stuff.
Joey was getting fellatioed by a young woman that he had met at the show.
We're watching.
Yeah, and
Oh, my.
his parents did see it, and I had to have that awkward conversation with his dad a couple of days later. He said, "Now, Brian,
He was like,
because I had known him,
were
Joey grew up
corrupting
in the
him.
neighborhood. Joey was younger, but I knew him, and I was friends with his brother. He's like, now, Joey was at that point 19, 20. I mean, he's old enough. No, he's 20, 22, 23. He's like, is this gonna, happen often? I was like, no, Joey's a grown man. I don't know, Mr. Dabney. I don't know. And he's like, well, I guess that happens.
It's the rock and roll
I was
line.
like, yeah, it happened. So that's Joey's first show with full moon.
Make rock hard
And
again.
then it just went down, and it just went downhill from there. Everything in full moon was like, we always played well, but us mentally and just our actions, we thought it would be a bright idea. We didn't know the law. We thought it'd be a bright idea to buy a bunch of liquor. Well, what do bars do? How do they make money? They sell liquor, right?
right.
Well, we had a sponsorship. Ended up getting with Captain Morgan, but we had a sponsorship with a company called UV Vodka. And the reason you'll know UV Vodka is when you go and get these blue kamikazes and all these drinks. Well, they were the first vodka company that started making the colored vodka.
Okay.
We got lucky. They sent us tons of stuff, like just all kinds of cool swag, tons of stuff. Well, Crawford had the great idea that we were going to make whoop juice for our fans one night. So we're playing at a place called Nighttown, which is the brother company to the Swamp, just on the other side of the water. Huge bar. Well, we decided that, and this is what's crazy. You try to do this shit now, it wouldn't last 5 seconds. I mean, ABC would arrest you. You get arrested by like ATF. Well, we used the hotel's bathroom. The bathtub.
I was going to ask you about the bathtub. Did y'all put the whoop juice in the bathtub?
We plugged it, and we got UV had sent us these huge coolers with the insignia on it, right? It says UV Vodka. And dude, when we went to the grocery store and bought fruit that I didn't even know what it was. I've never even heard of it. Crawford's just throwing it in the grocery cart, and I mean, I like there was a couple down there, like banana and apples and stuff. But like some of these fruits, I was like, is this a fruit or a vegetable? Or, so he buys a little cheap $10 blender. But I don't know why, because I thought you were supposed to. Some fruit he did throw in there, and some fruit he thought would be a good idea to blend and then put it in there. And so we had this agreement with our rep that if we ever had to buy UV vodka, that they would call the liquor store in what area we were in, and said liquor store, who gets paid by them anyway, would just give us liquor bottles. Okay. Well, you give a bunch of drunks the liquor bottles. So we walked out with like 14 bottles of UV vodka because we were sponsored. So we had every color.
So you had enough to fill the bathtub up.
Oh, God. Yeah. And so, and then we had these huge, like 40-liter coolers, big ones. We poured every bottle in there, every bottle. And there's a picture. I wish I had it with me. There's a picture of it online because we took a picture of it before, after we set up the stage. But we poured every bottle in the bathroom. This was Chris Crawford's idea. And put it in the coolers.
No way.
It was so heavy. It took like 3 of us to carry the coolers, each cooler. So we put them in. Then we bought little Dixie cups, dude. The little Dixie cups, but the shot glass size.
Yeah.
Not plastic, paper cups. we filled every paper cup with liquor of this whoop juice and just sat it around the bar. Like, I'm not the bar, the drum riser. And we told anybody during the show that they could just come up and get it. Well, we're having to play, so we weren't thinking about that either.
Yeah, that was dumb.
But while we were setting this up, the bartenders are looking at us like,
Oh,
what
Like, they're
in the
not
hell
going to
are
make any
these-
money.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
What are these guys doing? And we were like, we never thought about, this is totally against the law, what we're doing. Like, they sell liquor. We can't bring liquor into a bar. That's
Right.
like across the level on every state. Like, that's like federal law. Well, we broke that. But we just told, hey, come up anytime you want to get a drink. So we're in the middle of playing. I got drunk people hitting the mic. My teeth are getting hit. People
had
are
that
standing
before.
on Don. Don's in a massive solo, and they step on the A/B switch, and then it turns into clean.
Oh, my God.
Chris, they're
that
picking
sounds
up.
good.
They're picking up stuff and hitting Chris's cymbal. A cymbal's hitting him in the head. Drums are falling. I mean, like, and we just thought it was great.
I think it's great.
That's
I mean,
rock and roll.
I mean, it's rock and roll, but it's stupidity too, dude.
Yeah.
Is there any chance Full Moon Circus will get back together again?
I would love. Yeah, we talk about it all the
I think
time.
y'all need to
Didn't
do a
y'all-
little
I
something.
thought y'all-
We did 4 shows last year.
But you
Yeah.
did more than
Yeah.
4.
And it was fun. We had a blast. It was fun. It was like you realize
Let us open for y'all because that would be a
you
great
realize you're out of
thing.
shape.
That would be fun.
You know
It would
what
be
I mean?
good.
Yeah, I actually jammed with Chris when I was trying to get Crow going back again.
Great drummer. Isn't he?
Yeah, he was awesome. Unfortunately, things didn't work out, and it wasn't anything bad. It was just
Yeah, well,
time
he
stuff
plays with
with
so
his
many
kids.
people and stuff.
He does.
Yeah, and his son plays Cash
soccer
does
or
soccer
something.
a lot,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so. But yeah, I would love to. And Don, everybody's down. We've already talked about it. I've talked to Joey.
I think y'all need
And
to
I
make
talked
that
to Chris
happen.
Brown too. Brown's really not interested in music at all, but Joey has already said, "Yeah, I won't do pop fiction shows when, if the FNC books a show."
I just think that would be a really good introduction now because
I think so too. I mean,
it's-
the kids today don't know who we were.
I know, but there's still a lot of people that would.
Well, yeah, the old schoolers. I mean, I hope they would come out and have
I
fun, but a
definitely
lot
would
of
be
them
there.
don't.
Dude,
but-
I was at Electric Cowboy, watching you guys, all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. I was not known at all. at
no,
that
you
point.
were in No Lesser Beauty. I thought you were
Yeah,
a
but
great
that was
band.
that was original, and that was kind of different. But yeah, we were known for that.
But y'all were a good band though.
yeah.
well, yeah, we were. But I mean,
And Jeremy wrote some really good stuff.
he
Sure did.
He could do that dude was.
He could write some. And I remember hanging out with him in MC when he was still studying for pre-med, and now he's one of the head guys at UMMC.
Yep.
Sweetheart guy. Always was. Y'all
I
were
love
really
Jeremy.
good together. Too.
Yeah, I texted him the other day and I said, I'm up in UMC. Can you help me find it? Because have you ever been in UMC? It's like a maze. And he goes, Are you in there as a patient? Or are you? I'm like, I'm trying to find this damn clinic, man. Get the hell there. I'm late as shit. He was like, Did you go here and you take a left? And I'm like, Lord, just come get me. But anyway.
Yeah, y'all were a great band, and that was before the Hurricane stuff because you were doing
yeah.
No Lesser Beauty, and I want to say y'all played a show with us
Probably did. But let me tell
at Crazy 8, the old barn of Clays. Y'all
That's
did play a
right.
show with us.
That's right. That's way back.
That is a long time ago. Y'all played a show with us, and we had a great time. Y'all did, and y'all. I think you threw a couple of covers in it, but it's a mainly original show.
Well, that was our whole deal. We're like, we'll do the original thing, but we'll do the covers to suck people in to hear our originals.
of course,
Well,
that's
it's going
what
to
you
work.
got to do. It's
the only way to gig around.
kind
here.
of a double-edged sword,
Yeah.
unless you're in a market that really loves it.
Right.
That's right.
Sadly, that's not that
Not here.
market here.
Yeah, it doesn't
They're
work
like
with
some
Jackson,
regional-
but looking back on it,
Well, even Lillian Axe played covers.
Oh,
you
of
know,
course, yeah.
well, man, Lillian.
back in the day, anyway.
Oh,
God.
yeah, that's an interesting story altogether. How do you want to start that one?
Well, just so people know, we need. Let's kind of go back to chronological order here for a second. I want to get back on.
Oh, I skipped my other.
That's what I was saying. Is he's got so much information.
As far as your big
Yeah.
bands, all right.
Okay,
it
so
started with who? Not Lillian, but before.
Well, I mean, Full Moon. It's subjective,
Moon.
but I mean, as far as the cover band, yeah, Full Moon, obviously.
Full Moon, and then it was Papercut.
Yeah, so this is how that happened. So Joey Culver, rest in peace, he passed away on New Year's Eve. He was just sweetheart, dear friend of mine, and we lived together. And he was an Adam Ship. So, and I was always a fan of Adam Ship. And if you ever listen to the Adam Ship record
They were from Biloxi,
Yeah,
is that right?
Yeah, from Pascagoula, P-Town.
Yeah.
And so, if you ever listen to the Crash of 47, that record is brilliant. And they were ahead of their time, especially to be that young. And you got to remember that record came out one year, right around the same time Three Doors Down's debut came out.
Oh, yeah.
And they were from Escambia County, excuse me. So, same generic area. Maybe I may have the county wrong, but at any rate, we were all friends or whatever. And so after Full Moon, I told I was still in Full Moon. Let me take that back. I didn't disband Full Moon. This opportunity came up, and I was still gigging with Full Moon. We'd still go do our shows. And then Joey moved in. He was in Adam's ship, and Wind Up dropped the Adam's ship because of Creed. Just to make a long story short, they kept Evanescence and they kept Creed. So that's so Wind Up, and Wind Up was the largest independent music label in the country, but they acted like a major. They had money.
Yeah.
Diane and Allen in New York had 12 Stones. So they had great bands.
Didn't Wind Up have King's X?
No,
They did not? Well, who had King's X?
the Sanctuary and Frontiers and Megaforce.
Okay.
Megaforce, Frontiers, SRS maybe, and
Did Megaforce have them first?
yes,
'Cause they go
their
way
debut
back.
record.
Yeah,
Their debut record was on Megaforce, and Atlantic actually was the other answer, Kevin.
Okay.
That would have been Gretchen Goes to Hollywood. I'm pretty sure it was Atlantic. So Joey, Adam's ship got dropped. They had a big brawl, and things weren't going well. So Nathan, the guitar player, hell of a guitar player, ended up working with Maxie at the Hard Rock,
Maxie Williams.
and subsequently, unfortunately, passed away. So they were gonna get back together. Chad Kent, he was in several Modern Drummers. People were comparing him to Neil Peart, and just an amazing drummer. Roy was still around, bass player. It couldn't work out. Nathan died. Nathan passed away, and so Joey and I were living. We were living together at the Reservoir at that time, and this was between my marriages. So this was before I met my second wife, Tessica. It's the mother of my daughters. And so Joey and I were living together. We were really close. And he got the call. I'll never forget. He got a call from Jorge and Hernandez, was the manager. And he said, hey, let's put Adam's shit back together. So at that time, I joined as the guitar player, and we went and did rehearsals. And another guy named Chris from Mobile, Alabama, and we rehearsed in Pascagoula. And make a long story short, Joey and the rest of the band, they just wanted to go different ways. So that idea went out of the window. So but Joey was kind of the face of the band, so of Adam's ship, his distinct voice and just his lyrical content and just his stage presence he was just a really special person. And so he got another offer to get back on the label and to put out a major release. This was end of 2006, going into 2007. And so my band at the time, besides Full Moon,
Right.
was another band, which was Guns of Addiction, which
that came after.
remember that one.
yeah.
Right.
Well, no, I still had another version, and then so
So did y'all do originals?
I think I got that backwards. No, it was this
Okay.
cover. So, but I had a guitar player named Billy Harvey who played in Virgo's Merlot, which was a big band in Birmingham. He's really big in the scene in Birmingham. Hell of a guitar player, really amazing guitar player. And I had Billy, and so Billy was playing with me. There was a guy named Jerry Meadows who Joey had that was in a band called Joan Red out of Memphis. The whole Memphis scene, the One Less Reason guys, everybody was really really a tight knit
Right.
community. And then Joey Tannehill was my bass player in Full Moon, obviously.
Right.
So I got Joey and Billy and me to join with Joey Culver. He said, put a band together. I have a drummer. And Jerry was a great drummer. And the label then called Joey and said, let's not call it Atom Ship. Let's make another name. And I wish I could remember that story. We were sitting around one day, and the whole analogy is it's impossible to have a massacre of blood from a paper cut. So Joey came up with a band name, and it became Papercut Massacre. We started writing. And the record was called If These Scars Could Talk, and it's a great record. Kevin, I think, mentioned he had listened to it. And it's a really good record. I'm very proud of it. And so we went and recorded that with Skid Mills, who's world famous engineer in Memphis, Tennessee at 616 Studios, where, Zach Myers, Shinedown, all those guys were all affiliated with him. And we recorded the record, did a lot of shows, did several shows. One of the biggest was the Middle Light Crawfish Bowl. And remember when they had the big one downtown?
Yes.
40,000 people there. And I remember, there's a video that you guys can look up on YouTube that shows how we acted as that band. And that'll just kind of sum that up. Just YouTube, Papercut Massacre, Miller Lite Crawfish Bowl, Jackson, Mississippi. And it'll show you me dancing with T-Pain. And he was wearing a teddy bear outfit. And I said, man, I love that song. You can have whatever you like. Well, the band's laughing behind me. And they were like, Brian, that's T.I. I was like, oh, shit. And he pulled it off, dude. T-Pain was so cool about it because I didn't know rap. I was just trying to hang out and be cool. And I was hammered. And I was getting into the bus, and I was trying to get into a generator. The portable big Lawson truck generators? Yeah. I opened the door on one of those, and I was about to go in, and that's on video, actually. And Joey's like, that's the generator. That's how drunk I was.
Send me the link to that.
Has this ever been done before? Let's see. This is really funny. But so we did several shows, and at any rate, Joey, we had to, we all kind of had arguments. Girls were involved. Joey and I went our separate ways for a little bit, and then my band followed me. And
I got you.
Joey and Jerry stayed together. And so there's a second version of Papercut, but they toured briefly, but that wasn't the original version. Was us. That's us on the record. We recorded the record. We are the original Papercut Massacre.
Gotcha.
Now I'm glad that those guys and they're friends of mine, Sean Morgan and those guys, they are revamping the band name and trying to. They hired another singer. Yeah, they hired another singer, and
that is a cool name, though.
And they're writing the music, and they're trying to go out there and keep Joey's memory alive. So that's really cool, and I'm really happy with that they're doing that. But so the whole thing about the Papercut Massacre thing is that was a really fun band, and we did some really great shows, and it was good. That was a fun thing, and that was. I still had Full Moon, so I was nonstop band after band after band.
I still want a shirt.
Of which?
Full Moon Circus.
So yeah,
I've been asking Crawford for him forever. He won't.
So this is the link, and this is probably the camera probably can't see this, but so I just wanted to show him getting into the electrical because the very opening scene is me pissing.
You can turn it towards the camera.
Yeah, so
you can zoom in on it.
Okay, cool. So that's me. There's Joey Tannehill. So there's our buses, and you'll see Joey Culver here in a minute. But yeah, it's just funny stuff. So it's a great video. But this is the Middle Light Crawfish Bowl with Snoop Dogg and Finger 11 and Candlebox. This is us about to come on. You can see a huge crowd. And we were coming out to Star Wars. We were nerds. Yeah, some of this gets graphic.
Imperial March.
And I said, yeah, I'm cussing in it.
It was rocking like fucking docking, bitch.
So yeah, I'm trying to show you. I think I was trying to get into the electrical bus here in a second. This is me and T-Pain. Oh, well, no, that's...
Is that on YouTube?
Yes, it's great.
Right here.
Yeah, there it is.
I'll see y'all later. Have a good one. Get back. Be careful. And hey.
So I was trying to get into the election, into the general. So that's, just look it up. It's really fun. It's called Miller Lite Crawfish Boil.
And it's Papercut.
Yeah,
Papercut Massacre. And that was actually May 8th. So, I mean, that's 2008. So my apologies. It was from the end of 2006 into 2008.
Because
So
I think me and Jeremy were there for that.
Yeah.
I think we were.
Yeah, Jeremy was there. I remember
Yep.
seeing you go. So I
Yep.
cut that short, actually. And then the Lillian stuff happened. And the full moon thing kept, at that time, Guns of Addiction was kind of taking over full moon.
Yeah, I can remember Rob Hovey called me and he was like, "Are you going out?" And I'm like, "No." And he's like, "Well, you need to come to Electric Cowboy." And I was like, "Oh, it's fixing to happen."
Yeah.
So anyway, Steve come up, his wife, and Rob. Yep.
Yeah, that was an interesting story. So, growing up, everybody that knew me knew how much I loved Lillian. It was like Metallica, Lillian, Maiden is in there, Priest. But, I mean, I'd met Steve when I was 13. So
When did you meet him?
At the Creek, and I was 13 years old.
Well, I met him at Traceway Park.
Yeah.
Over in
and
Clinton.
I went to his apartment when he was in Clinton with Jason. Jason
That's
Bragg.
who I met because my cousin Kevin played ball with Jason.
Yeah,
And
and
we went-
Jason's sister Donna was.
That's right.
With Steve, and so I had a relationship. I didn't have a relationship with him. I was just like, he was so super nice to a nerd kid, or just a little metalhead kid that wanted to make it in music. And but yeah, so when you got that call, that's fun. So we had Guns of Addiction, which was me, Daryl Arnold, Don. So Don was still with me, and then Lance Clark was playing drums. So we
What a good drummer.
Yes.
yeah, he's a great drummer.
He's a beast.
He is a good drummer. And so we were playing we were coming. I remember we were on 98 coming back from we had played in Mobile. It was a big show outside somewhere, the Bluegill. That was what it was called. And Steve called me. I'll never forget. And Daryl's sitting in the front seat with me. And Daryl and Steve go back 40 years.
Wait. Daryl was like, "You better not be trying to steal my singer."
And it doesn't hook to the phone. So at that time, it didn't hook to the car or any of that. So I'm trying to. Daryl's like, "Bro, what's Steve on?" I was like, "I have no idea." So I put him on speaker. And I was like, "Hey, bro, I ain't seen you in a bit. What's up, man? I ain't talked to you." Because at this point, we had already. I mean, this is years later. I mean, I was 13 back then. And now this is years later, and we became friends. And I would talk to him when I saw him at shows or whatever. And he said, "Hey," I put him on speaker, and Daryl's like, "Answer it, man." So Daryl, he got to see the whole thing.
I have a feeling Daryl knew about this though before.
No, he didn't. He
Okay.
honestly did not know, and that's what's we still don't know why Steve didn't call him. But Steve said, "Hey, man, so Derek's leaving the band, and your name came up several times to me, and would you be interested in, coming in audition?" I was like, "What? For real?" And I thought Daryl had
That was a
pranked
joke.
me. Yeah, I thought it was a joke. I pulled over, literally. I remember pulling into a BP gas station. That was in the middle of the BP oil spill thing. That tells you how long ago that was.
Right.
2010. 2009, late 2009, going into 2010. And I pulled over and I said, "Yeah, of course. But really?" So, I mean, it was a surreal moment. And Daryl's like tripping out. He was all happy for me. And we talked about it all the way home. Lance is in the back and he's like, I mean, we had to introduce Lance to a lot of the music we like.
Right.
So he didn't know who Lillian was.
I don't even know how old Lance is, but he can't be.
He was, he was younger than us, obviously much younger, but he didn't know who Lillian was. And so that's how that call took place. And then evidently he called you. And he did tell me, I didn't know that was, he was coming to watch or scout me or whatever. And I remember at that point, I was sober at that point. So I didn't have to worry about drinking. I had stopped 2 years earlier. That was late. That was 2000 and that was January 2010. And I stopped pretty much right after that video was made. Because a lot of stuff happened that night. And that's another, there's a lot of bands that haven't been mentioned, but we'd be here all night. But that video that was really one of the turning points. And,
your catalyst.
Yeah, and then my getting married and my wife at the time getting pregnant. And so that was like, yeah. And so when he called, I was all for it. And then you got the call. And they came and saw Full Moon. Well, it was Guns of Addiction at the time.
Right.
And playing at the Electric Cowboy, which was a hair-raising experience. But yeah, that was surreal, man. And stories abound for days.
So when it happened, were you nervous, or did you just go in there and just tackle it?
Oh God, yeah, I was nervous. I knew the catalog really
nervous.
well, but I knew the catalog really well, but I didn't want to ask too many questions. I didn't know.
So what kind of an interview was this? Like when you went in, were they like?
No, I mean, I knew the guys from going to their shows, so I remember saying hey to Ken, but it was just kind of a different capacity. It's no longer like hanging out, talking to a friend at the show. So I'm like, hey, what's up, dudes? And they're like,
do you know the stuff?
They're all looking at me. Of course, Steve's the main one. Rob was there to do the mixing and stuff, which we did later on. Had I known, I didn't know at the time I was be getting the gig, but I mean, because they auditioned a lot of people. The old singer for Metal Church was one of them.
Yeah, that tall guy, the real tall guy.
No, I can't remember. It's not Mike Howe. Mike Howe passed away, but it was David Van Helsing, I believe, and he was on several Metal Church records. Not Metal Church. Was it Metal Church? I can't remember.
I think it was Metal Church.
Yeah, it was one of the bands, and then several other singers. And but I knew the stuff. I just didn't know if he wanted me to, try to duplicate Ron's voice.
Well, that was what I was getting at. So when because I've never been to that level ever. So, but when you do go there, he was cool with what you had, or did you you had to know it to what level for him to be like, you got the gig?
No, I mean, yeah, it was grueling. We did it all day. I drove to the North Shore in Mandeville, Louisiana, and we went over, what did I audition? We went over Ghost of Winter.
So, what was the first one you did with him?
All's Fair in Love and War. I remember that. Yeah.
That's a tough one,
because I was trying to find his harmony, and I mean, he can harmonize with a chainsaw. But I know that I had to be there, and I've never used monitors. I mean, everybody knows I hate them. Mm-hmm. I just rely on head voice, and as long as I hear mains, I'm good.
So no in-ears or anything?
No, God, no. So but he had the mains, he had the monitors in front of me. So right then, I hate hearing myself through monitors. So it kind of mentally, it's like a mental block. Yeah. So it kind of screws me up,
I'm like that with a guitar through the monitor. I can't stand it.
Yeah, I don't like monitors, period. But he had them all set up, and I was going like, hey, can you turn my monitor? So I just was like, okay, God, help me get through this. Oh, goodness. So All's Fair in Love and War, Show a Little Love.
So you hit that first note.
I did. And and I remember looking at him I was like, kind of trying not to let him see me looking at him, like see if I got that seal of approval.
That was definitely a trial by fire on that one.
Yeah,
put you through that first note.
Yeah, that sucked. That was the very first song. Because that note's high.
I know.
And then Show a Little Love.
That's a high one too.
Yeah, that's some high stuff. And then True Believer.
That's a little lower register.
Yeah, World Stop Turning was one.
I remember that one.
Trying to remember the order. Show a Little Love, World Stop Turning, True Believer. Ghost of Winter, which is obviously high register on the ending, and some in the bridge and in the second verse, and then and Ghost and Nobody Knows. And am I missing something? I think She Likes It on Top was one.
That's a great song.
Did she really like it on top?
I had to get them to finally add that in the set list because I wanted them to do it, and we had it for a while. And there was it was a good 10 songs. It was hair raising, and we did them twice each. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's 20 songs.
So did he give you like any kind of indication that you were doing good, or he was just like,
No, it was pretty much business. I mean,
gotcha.
it's like, so he had to separate the whole, I've known this kid since he was 13 kind of thing.
Yeah.
And was this
Rob was the only one that's like, man, I think you did great.
I think you did
And like
great.
Rob gave me like a thumbs up.
Was this a rehearsals like at somebody's
No, it was
garage?
It was
or
at Sound Landing Studios,
Okay.
which later on, subsequently, I would have ended up recording 3 albums that I had no idea, but because I didn't know how to get the gig.
So did you do only was it a total of 3 albums with him?
Yeah, well, 4 and the single 4. So yeah, Weeping Moon was the single.
Okay.
And then actually on the record, the last record, I did the first 3 songs. I actually recorded them, and I have them on my phone, my version, and then the version that Brent ended up doing. And so, yeah, so I did the first 3 on From Womb to Tomb at Malico, because I had been talking to Steve about branching out of Louisiana and getting with Kent, because Kent's got 3 Grammys and just an amazing ear, and he just knows the history. He used to work for Lillian. I don't know if you remember that, Kevin, but
Kent Bruce?
yeah, he did same period of time with Randall
Really?
and
did not know
Maxie
that.
the early days, and
I mean, I remember
Kent was on the
Maxie.
second record. I take that back. He was on the Love and War record.
And I remember Mo working with him.
eyeballs are floating? I'll be right back.
But yeah, so that to answer your question, Russ, that's how that went. Okay? Yeah, so that was a good experience. It was very very nerve-wracking. But I, because I'm playing with my idols, I can't, reiterate that enough. Namely Steve, obviously, because at that point Steve was the only original member and the founder. So it seemed like an eternity. It was more like 4 or 5 days later. Called me up.
Oh, so they didn't tell you right away?
No.
Oh, dude.
You have to wait.
Dude, I was.
So yeah, it was a
Did you
nerve-wracking week. No, hell no.
Yeah, they got to
And
make
I
it
just
painful.
I just went back and started playing gigs. And the night before, I'd play gig. I mean, I never stopped. Even the recording of the records, I never took vocal rest. Like people want to, you take vocal rest to do takes and go to. Dude, I was gigging, and I would go and do 7-8 hours in the cans, under the cans, and in the vocal booth, and.
That's tough.
But yeah, it was. I never had rest, but that's neither here nor there. So I got 4 or 5 days later, he called me and got the gig, and then it just started flying. So all the
So he just called you and said, "Hey, by the
yeah,
way,
he said the guys and I've talked. It was a conference call. I got the gig. We all went out.
did you scream?
Yeah, did you scream? Did you?
Yeah, I was
what did you
excited.
do?
Yeah, it was cool. And
Fuck yeah!"
my daughters had just been born.
Oh,
So
you
we
were
all went out.
super high.
Yeah, literally had just, because a few days before that, Steve had called me, because like I said, we were friends before I even knew about the audition, and congratulated me at the hospital at St. Dominic. And at any rate, so I let Daryl and them know, hey, I still want to do the cover thing on the side. I don't know how much, because at this point I didn't know anything.
Yeah.
And then it just took off. I didn't know how quick it was going to go. And then, that was 2010. And then we started working on the record and immediately started and doing gigs. My first gig with Lillian was at the world famous Howlin' Wolf.
So I played that place.
Yeah.
So I've got a question for you. When you're working with Steve, or that level, does he bring you the material and say, "This is what I want you to do. This is how I want you to sing it"?
Yeah, that's my only complaint, and that's one of the reasons I left the band. There's no creative control, so you're told. And look, they're his songs. At the end of the day, he wrote them. I'm not knocking it, but the 2 A-type personalities are eventually going to clash, and he's a very, very strong. And I'm not saying that in a negative connotation. He's just an A-type personality.
But
So everything is his way.
He's super successful, and you are too.
Of course.
But but look, man, that was a pretty big powerhouse y'all had together.
Of course, and look, and we worked so well together, and what we did and accomplished was amazing. We just had a magical chemistry on stage, and like it was still surreal even at shows, every now and then it would still hit me. I was like, what am I doing on the stage with somebody I was watching when I was 13?
That's exactly.
But then I
how
kind of
would
forgot
feel.
about it, because I stayed so busy because I brought another aspect to the band that wasn't there before, which I'll get to. So speeding along, it just took off. We started freaking speeding, man. So like show after show, we warmed up with some local shows. But unfortunately for me, Lillian's huge in that market. So my first show was a sold out Howlin' Wolf show in their hometown. You're talking about
So you had to prove
nerve-wracking.
yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the second,
Wait, and you were coming after Derek.
and,
Yeah, right.
and who's a
Yeah.
powerhouse.
Yeah.
He can sing the
Derek's
fucking
badass.
phone.
I
He can
talked
sing
to
the
Derek the other day.
He can sing the phone book.
Yep.
And Derek and I always had a good relationship, as did Ron and I. That's not the same with Steven. But what do you what happened?
I missed the hole. Sorry. Go ahead.
I've done that a couple times.
We all have.
But
It's usually followed by ouch.
yeah. Exactly.
Or
Or wrong hole.
a bent dinghy.
Or a slap.
Not there.
That's happened to me before.
Not there
I
yet.
just got slapped.
Wrong hole.
So, and then I remember the second show being talking about nerve wracking. Lillian was huge in Jackson too.
Yep.
For many years, like Kevin was talking and I were talking
yeah.
about earlier. So the second show was in Jackson. So I'm like, now I have to go and perform in front of my peers and
All your friends.
So you were broken in. Broke you in.
Yeah, I mean it was a nightmare. And at DeWitt's place,
So look,
Club Magoo's or whatever. That was my second show there.
Were the musicians doing this?
Oh yeah,
That's
They
the
still
middle
do that.
finger.
That is it.
they still do that to me to this day. Though. I mean,
Just jealous, man.
it is what it is. To me, just a segue real quick. Don and I will be playing shows that Don still plays with me. I'm always solo, but Don does do shows with me when I play late night. When y'all are, you've seen when you've been there at Shuckers and locally here, and we always have those guys like this, and they're always the younger
they're always at
musicians,
Shuckers.
which I want to end on because I have a
And
message
they're
for those
cowboys.
cats.
They're always cowboys.
Yeah.
They're the guys that never
Like,
gig.
no, but
on their own.
mine, I can honestly say, are always musicians. I don't know if they're trying to intimidate me or what. I don't give a fuck.
You shouldn't.
I
You
don't.
should
I
not.
never have.
Of all people, you should not.
No, it doesn't matter. If
So like I'm on stage, you're not.
no, it's not that. It's just like
But that's
if
the
you
truth.
live your life for others, man, you're gonna be living and not living. It's
Yeah.
not
That's true.
living.
Right.
Yeah.
You're right.
You just
You're right.
got to. It's not, and
And
it
you
took
can't
me,
please all people, too,
It took
so.
me years to learn that, and I'll tell you who taught me that. Which a nice segue. I mean, I tried to work on it, but to really grasp it, I'll tell you. And I'll name drop here, but so Lillian was just really flying, and the first major tour. It's a 39-date run. That doesn't sound like it's a lot. That's a long time.
That is a
That's
long
a
time,
lot.
especially for
That's
a
a lot.
newbie. It's never.
Yeah, and I had
toured.
toured, but not in that capacity.
Yeah.
Were y'all doing 2 hours a night or what?
On that particular run, 55 minutes. But
Okay.
That's still a long show.
but
It
we
is.
only had on that run, I think in 39 days, I think we had 4 days off.
Okay.
Wow.
Bucky Allman was our TM, and we had a bus. And the Bullet Boys needed a bus, so this is how quick it started. So the album was finished, by the way. So I forgot that. So we worked on The Days Before Tomorrow, got that done. I was still gigging the entire time, and then we went and did The Days Before Tomorrow, and that was a long process. So because I would have to drive every time, so I'd play a gig. Drive overnight. I might be singing at 8 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes I may be singing at 1 or 2 in the morning. I mean, it sometimes in the afternoon, just whenever we could fit everyone's schedule. And the vocal track, those were scratch vocal tracks for the band to go to.
Right.
And then it was my turn to act. After all the instrumentation was done, it was my turn. And so that was a long process, but we got that done. So, I mean, I was thrown into it.
Yeah.
New management, Charlie Bagarosa, who worked with Kiss, and Chip or Gary, who is huge PR guy. He's still very well known, and Priest, Maiden, all those guys. We had a really good team. And so the first tour was the America Rocks tour. That was Lillian Axe, Pretty Boy Floyd, Bullet Boys, Faster Pussycat, and Great White.
Wow.
Jack Russell's Great White. And 39 days all across. We started in Santa Clara, California, and ended in, I went all the way to Canada, played Canada, all the way to the East Coast. Last show was, and you can look this is a great YouTube video when they rib this, because the end of last night of a tour, everybody ribs everybody. And I got Faster Pussycat back really good, but they came and got us on stage. Everybody got on stage. It was in Dallas, Texas, in Deep Ellum at a place called Trees. Everyone plays at. Same guy that owns the Bomb Factory. And they came out with like these fake axes, like these cardboard axes, and they were hitting us. And while we were in the middle of playing Ghost of Winter, like a serious song. And it was just a lot of fun.
So they were hacking on
Yeah, they were hacking on us. So before Faster Pussycat went on, I got a big old thing of baby powder, and I put baby powdered Chad Stewart's drums.
Oh God!
All over Chad,
Jesus.
and the cymbals and everything.
And he didn't see it before.
Oh, of course he saw it, but I mean, they
What can he do?
they were going on. I mean, I did this as I was getting off stage.
That's like putting a ketchup pack under
And
the
Pretty
toilet
Boy
seat.
Floyd was going up next, and so after Pretty Boy Floyd finished, and it was only like a 5-minute, 10-minute changeover because we were all sharing backline.
Right.
Except everybody Faster. We were using Faster's drum set, so I knew I wasn't gonna do that to someone else's drum set. It was Chad's. So, and Great White was the only one that had a different drum set. So they would change
Nair in his jockstrap.
They would
too.
change that drum set out, and so I baby powdered the entire drum set the entire night. And he said it took him months to get that out.
Oh no!
All you could see was it was like a smoke machine. So I got them back, and then we got on stage doing
That's
like
a
bathroom
terrible
wall,
prank,
and
man.
I was doing all kinds of ignorant stuff. And that was a beautiful.
This was after
tour.
your drinking days, right?
Yeah, I was sober, completely sober.
Okay.
That was well thought
and
out,
I was
by the
vegan
way.
too at that point. And so none of the guys in our band partied. I mean, Sam had a few beers and Ken had a few beers, but Steve never drank. I never drank. Very low key, very just tame. But we shared. They needed a ride. So they ended up renting it out from us. But we shared a bus with the Bullet Boys.
Okay.
It was our bus, but the Bullet Boys shared the bus with us. So we had huge personalities. Mark touring.
Wait a minute. So both bands are riding on this bus?
Yeah, but it was our bus, and Mark needed a ride. Mark's band needed. They just ended up riding with us the entire tour. First day
God,
of
it had
the
to be
tour in
crowded
Santa
there.
Clara. It was Santa Clara, California. Steve and Mark have it out. Very first day.
About what? Should I ask?
Yeah,
that didn't take long.
It's a funny story. Me and Ken, first morning of the tour, the first up, we go to this coffee store. The bus is in the parking lot. Everybody's sleeping. We're at the club. It's 8 o'clock in the morning, Santa Clara, California. We picked up the Bullet Boys the night before in the middle of downtown Beverly Hills where Mark lives, which is hell to get a bus in like a little loft place where he lives.
Just run over the curves and everything.
Yeah, so we drove through the night to Santa Clara, which is up the 101 or Highway 1, whatever, and Pacific PCH 1, and parked the bus, slept. Me and Kim were the first ones up, got some coffee, and Mark Torian comes out and starts messing with Ken. And if you don't know Ken's personality, well, then you would think he's being a jerk or something. Ken's not that type, but he's like, yeah, man. I know you know who the Bullet Boys is, but when I was back in the old days, man, and I tease Mark about the story to this day, but he's like, yeah, man, me and my family, we're just as popular as the Jackson 5. And he said, I got some 2-inch reel I could play you. And Ken was like, cool. And Ken was being dead serious. Ken's like ditzy sometimes, hell of a drummer, just ditzy. Ken was like, cool. Do you have like a 2-inch reel player on the bus? And they're like, how do you want me to hear it? And Mark took that offensively, like, oh, you don't believe they have 2-inch reel, and got all up in his face. And I'm like, hey, dude, chill out. And he kept going. He's like, and by the way, I'm a black belt, blah, blah, blah. And
Okay.
first day
That
of the
generally
tour,
means I can't
First
fight.
day of the tour, I go get Steve. Steve's madder than hell because I woke him up. Steve and Mark walk a good half a mile down the road in the middle of the intersection. We're in California, a lot of traffic. There's a Jack in the Box. And Steve says, we're going to walk down there and we're going to talk. Well, they didn't make it quite to the Jack in the Box. They stop in the middle of the street, at the median, in the median between.
All you see was hair flying.
And they got in each other's face about this close. So I'm trying to run there real quick because I was like, man, Steve's about to karate kick this guy in the head. And they ended up coming to Jesus meeting. But the rest of the tour, it was a very difficult tour for Steve with Mark. And he's very open about it, but
All over some dumb stuff.
yeah, but Mark, he's a hoot, man. Hell of an entertainer, but yeah, he's a handful to deal
So,
with.
out of your experiences meeting all of these big personalities, is there anybody that you were like, hey,
Well, that's what I was about to. So, one of my best friends to this day is Tammy Down, and I can't say enough about Tammy. And we talk bi-weekly. I mean, and we'll talk for hours. And I grew up. This was another item of mine. I grew up. I mean, there's posters. A lot of kids had Farrah Fawcett on their walls,
Yep,
and I
I
posted
did.
about this. I think Kevin read it. Mine were metal. It was always
Yep.
Tammy and Cooper and Maiden, Metallica, Mustaine, whoever. I mean, I had some chicks on there too, but it was music. And I told Tammy that. And every night of the tour since then, and we are dear friends to this day. But I would go to the bus and hang out with Tammy. And he's completely sober now. Back then he wasn't. But I think I was kind of like, I kind of helped him. He always told me that I kind of helped ground him. So like because the band wasn't in the bus.
Yeah.
They were all out partying. Tammy liked to always be on the bus by himself to kind of decompress because he still handled the business. He could be hammered, but he would still handle the business and the aspect of everything. And he's very professional about it. I mean, he's a marketing genius. Faster Pussycat did a very great job, and they're very successful.
I was a huge fan of theirs.
Yeah, and he said, from now on, every night, you're going to get up and do House of Pain with me. And I was like, oh, my God. And
Wow.
so to this day, even no matter if I go see them tomorrow, that they call me up. And they did it when I brought them. I brought them to Jackson 3 times. And so I formed a beautiful relationship with him. He and Mike Tramp, Eric Martin from Mr. Big,
Eric Martin, wow.
and Jack Russell,
Yeah.
who I posted about. That really hurt me that day, and I cried very heavily because Jack and Jack was another one. So I'd leave Tammy's bus. Jack was completely sober, but he was ailing even back then. He had to use the cane and stuff, and I would walk and talk with him every night on the bus, and he would just give me pointers. I would just soak it up like a sponge, and because I never wanted to stop learning. I didn't look at myself as being in a national act, because you got to remember, when I would come home, you would still see me playing Shucker's Patio. And that's all these local musicians that have this misnomer about me that doesn't even know me and they have negative things to say. First of all, fuck off. Secondly, I don't care. Thirdly, if you don't know me, give a person, it's not about me, give a person a chance to get to know them. Russ can attest to this. All right, the entire time I was in Lillian, Russ and I had a relationship. I worked very hard for Russ's band as an agent. I would be on tour with Lillian, and I would be personally calling that band to make sure they're taken care of. And that's just one example. I never forgot that I was a local musician. I never looked at myself as being able to play international. I appreciate the kind words like people like you and Daryl and JJ and all have said, but that's the problem I've always had with the local music scene. I'm going to be the one person that's going to be the opposite of your other guest. Yeah. I don't feel a unity because I've always been ostracized, and I don't know why, and that's cool. I don't care. But
could be jealousy.
Steve always said it was envy. I don't think that because I'm nothing to be envious about, but I don't like people snubbing their nose off at me that have never even spoken to me. Right. Now, if I've been an asshole to them in the past and they can't let go and take forgive you or take an apology, well, then I'll own up to that. But I can honestly say 90% of these musicians that I can name that have been on this show that do not like me have never spoken a word to me.
They probably
and
like
they don't
you.
even know me. No, they
man.
publicly post negative things. And again, at the end of the day, I don't live my life for them. I never changed who I am.
But you can't live for anybody.
No, of course, but I never changed who I am. I'm a good father. I'm a good ex-husband to my ex-wife. I've taken care of my parents. I've taken care of bands. When I had the agency with Daryl, our first and foremost thing everybody thought might have been money. No, it wasn't. We were never, no other freaking agent ever called their bands and checked on them to make sure they got paid at the end of the night. They were in bed asleep. We were hands-on.
I will say that is 100% true about that.
And I still played fucking gigs. I still played Mexican restaurants. I still played Iron Horse. I still played this. I never viewed myself as so I get worked up about it, as you can see. These local musicians that have attitudes.
I can feel the heat.
I feel it too.
Like, it takes
I'm in
a lot
another
to
room
get
and
me-
I feel it.
It takes a lot, but like I've always had a problem. I'm still going to live my life and be who I am, and I'm comfortable with who I am because I know what I've done.
Right.
So me
And I know my true heart.
So me and Rob and Sherilyn would be riding somewhere, like after the gig, and we'd be in another town or something, and Brian's calling at like 3 a.m. He's checking up. Did y'all kill it? I know you killed it. Tell me you killed it. I'm like, yeah, well, I think we killed it. We're really tired right now, but I'm pretty
Yeah, of
sure we
course.
killed it.
Yeah, and I would call it inopportune times. But the point is, I always cared enough to check.
No, that's what
and
I'm
I was
saying.
like, hey, did you get paid? Did y'all eat? I mean, and I did that with every band. My whole point is like, because I knew that life. I came from it.
Right.
And I always wanted everybody to. And then, like, when I would bring bands to Jackson, I always called you guys to open up for them.
Oh yeah, man. Look, so that was a look, and I really appreciate when we first got started. When you went to Lillian, he pretty much said, "Here's all my gigs."
And I appreciate you telling that story. I did forget about that, but that is true, and you killed it. Y'all killed it.
Well, we didn't actually get to take them because Jason was out of
But
town.
y'all took a couple,
We probably
not
took a
necessarily
couple.
the ones in Florida.
We didn't get the Florida stuff, but I wish we could have done that because we'd probably
because
still be
he
there.
had left or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's not, like I said, I'm not knocking any local musicians because at the end of the day, we're all here doing what we love, or for whether it be for financial reasons or true love or insanity. At my point, it's insanity, and just headaches because I guess we like stress. Because if everybody thinks they want to be in the music business and they think it's all fun and games,
You need to talk to Jack Plunkett. You need to talk to that boy. He's a young guy that's really good.
It's I mean, and I try, dude. I if I'm not playing, I'll always go out and support people. But that's the one thing that I wish I could reiterate. Like, give a person a chance to know them before you knock them. Because if you don't know them, that it's insane.
Right.
Perfect example. Scott's in here. Scott was with Pop Fiction when they first started. I got Pop Fiction huge shows and helped get them started. Because Joey is one of my best friends, and he was with me, and I always will try to help people. And I know I've never understood how that misnomer came to be, and it always bothered me. I would always talk to Steve about it. I was like, how could somebody construe that I carry myself and act like a rock star or something, which I never have, when I own a booking agency and I'm booking my peers, my friends that I know will do a good job. I still go and play those same acoustic shows. None of that's ever changed about me. So I never really understood. I wish I had that unity, but for some reason I've always been ostracized. And I'm not saying with everybody. Like me and Jason Turner, tight as all get out. And Turner, look, he's got the utmost respect in the community. People love him. But it's kind of the same thing. He's not like grandfathered in with this clique, and I don't even know how you get in this fucking clique.
Well, I'm gonna tell you. Side note, that guy can draw like crazy.
Yeah, he's doing so well with Comic-Con.
We're gonna.
It's Comic-Con.
We're gonna put one of his designs on one of my guitars.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
Hell, he's sick. And dude, he works so hard on it. And Jason's my dear friend, and I love him to death. And I bug him every day. We talk. He's like my go-to guy. Like,
He's such a nice guy.
Oh, he's the sweetest. And
I want to throw something in. Brian, I've followed you for years, and I've always admired you. But I'm gonna tell you, one of the things that I admired the most about you, it was not your musicianship, it was not Lillian Axe, it was none of that. It was the fact that you loved and took care of your kids.
No, yeah.
And, you know, I followed you on Facebook and still do. But the love you have for those girls, I mean, to me, that spoke more than anything to me.
Well, thank you. I mean, and everybody, I always get that from, I'm going to tear up. This isn't supposed to be sad.
I have a tissue.
No, but, you know, people always, and thank you for that, Kevin, but I've always been, that's all I've ever known, though. Like, so people always say it's admirable and all that, but to me, I just think that I'm just doing what I'm supposed to.
That's what you are.
Well, that is.
I get
that is.
So
That is what you're supposed to
I
do.
never wanted that to be known as an accolade, and I appreciate it. But and Scott and I were talking about this outside, and Scott alluded to it too, and about with his daughter, and they've been my driving force, and somehow they've been so amazing in the fact that they've been pushed me, like, because I wanted to quit Lillian before I did quit Lillian. And because there's so much behind the scenes that people don't know. I mean, I can tell that in a 30-second rundown. I wasn't just a singer. So I basically was the TM. Mm. So most singers are drinking tea and honey and all that crap. I've never done that, period, even if I had time. Honey makes me like want to jump out of the window. I don't know. Something in my body does not like honey. I mean, literally. I ain't never touched drugs, but I think it's like cocaine or something. Because I've tried it one time and I wanted to like run in traffic. It was so bad.
Yikes.
It was like terrible, dude. And I was like, I didn't even think it helped me singing. But anyway, but I never got to do any of that. So the band's hanging out. And that's cool because I did take that role on. Steve said, do you want to book the band? And I can honestly say when I joined that band, from the inception of my joining the band till the time I left the band, was their most successful period of the time.
They had a lot of bookings. Period.
And the money was stupid good. And we got every Monsters of Rock when I was in the band. 7 Monsters of Rock. And they haven't done one since. And I'm just saying my relationship with Larry and with Bill and those guys, you know.
Did they have Monsters on the Mountain at that time, or had not come out yet?
No, they had started it the year I left, and they did do Monsters. I booked them. On the Monsters of the Mountain tour.
Okay.
I got them on M3 the year I left. We did Rocklahoma when I was still in the band, and but anyway, what I'm saying is I did all of those things. So I was booking, I was handling catering, making sure everybody got fed, doing all these shows. And they're all hanging out in the dressing room. I'm literally running up until the time I have about 6 or 7 minutes to change, and then I run on stage. And that's how it was every night. And I'm not fussing or complaining at all because I took that ownership role. But it was just so much to where...
Oh, I'm sure it was a lot.
Yeah. And then you concentrate vocally, you want to have a good performance. And I was like, there was sometimes it's like...
Well,
I just couldn't function.
Yeah, you're exhausted.
If you did that, just like you looked after us when you were booking, I know that you were taking on stuff because he always checked upon us.
Yeah, I mean, I did that
right
with you guys and then the family. I think Crow. We did. Kevin,
I don't know if Kevin's back there. I don't see him.
No, I know I got Crow on one of the shows that I brought into town. I can't remember which show it was, but I'm always trying to give back and always trying to help other musicians, and for some reason that's always going south and with me, and I don't do things to get things in return.
Maybe not so much. I mean, you're definitely everybody knows that you've done very well.
I don't even care about that. Like that. Well, at the end of the day, I'm happy that I was in Lillian, but I don't think about it anymore. I have great memories. Like I said, with Jack, that killed me when he died, man, because a lot of people don't know this. That was in my post. But so in 2013, and I had to tell him, though, and I regret it. But Steve was like, Brian, you can't do both, you know. And I understand where Steve was coming from. They do all fly dates. But I was asked to join Great White.
Really?
As the bass player.
Wow.
Jack Russell's Great White. So, and subsequently, Tony Montana came back, which is the original bass player. Uh-huh. But they had sent me the set list. Robbie Lochner, who played for Halford and amazing guitar player, he's Jack's guitar player. They sent me the set list, and you can go read. This is all on Facebook. I posted a picture of the actual set list. I learned it verbatim. I was planning on going out to California to do it. They already had these dates run. They had to cancel about 3 weeks worth to get somebody worked in.
Oh, wow.
And when it came time, I talked to Steve. And he's like, man, I know that's a good opportunity, but you're going to have to choose. You can't do both. And
Wow.
so I stuck. I was loyal to Lillian. And
Right.
I mean, you talk about, Lillian's a great band, but in terms of sales, Great White's up here.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's one of those things. And then I was talking with, and then you asked like my people that I'm really close with. Eric Martin to this day is a dear friend of mine. We email each other back and forth, and I met him at a festival called Rockin' Skull, and his voice has always been phenomenal to me, and Mr. Big, and so he called me up. He was doing an acoustic version. He called me up. You can look this up on YouTube. It's funny because I was terrified. We had done the show, and he came out and watched us and all from side stage, and Phil Lewis on LA Guns is on this side, and I'm like, oh, this is weird. And because you're performing in front of your peers. I kind of had gotten used to it over time because we played with everybody and their grandmother, not just one or two one-offs, but tours. And that night he asked me to be with you, which is what Mr. Big's known for.
You were having to do the harmony?
Yeah, it was not, dude. It was like so much fun, but you can see it on YouTube, and I was terrified. And then after that, dude, he's like so quirky and just so funny and like just a sweetheart guy, and I love Eric, and so we have a dear relationship, dear friendship too. And
Have you met Paul Gilbert?
yes,
What was Paul like?
he was super nice. He's a nerd like me.
Paul,
Is his fingers this long?
Yeah.
'Cause on
Yeah.
the-
Yeah. I think Daryl was with me. I think that was on Monsters of Rock when and then Nuno, and then but with Nuno. Yeah, because all those just blend together. You hang out with so many people and get to know them, and they become your friends. But, the relationship, John Corabi, I don't know how
I love John Corabi.
John and I will talk last time I was on the phone, we talked for 2.5 hours, and that was last week. Because he's coming down, and we're going to ride he's going to ride the Natchez Trace with me on this
and
motorcycle.
I'm riding with y'all.
Nice.
When is he coming?
He's supposed to let me know. He's doing the Dead Daisies thing right now.
Can you get him in here?
Of course. Yeah,
Oh.
John is a sweetheart. And John
He
has
did
done a lot for me.
my favorite Motley Crue album.
Oh, it's the best. I think the
Does he
94.
mention
It's the
Crew?
absolute best.
Does he mention Crew ever?
Yeah, and John would be really good to tell you all those stories because I don't feel it'd be appropriate for me to tell those stories. What John went through.
But he tells y'all stories though.
Oh, cool.
about his times.
Yeah, I know everything
You get the
about
sidebar.
I know everything about the crew
That's
there is to
fine.
know.
Man, I love John.
But
His voice is amazing.
and it still sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And then of course Mike Tramp is I can't say enough about Mike. Mike is just a dear guy, and he's come down and done 3 shows for us and for me and here. And we still talk, he lives in Denmark, but he's over in the States right now doing a long run. And if you want to come, you come with me on
Absolutely.
Southport. It's a Monday night, dude, so there's no reason not to.
I want to get up and play weight with him.
Marcus has nailed the veto parts too, man. So it's like literally Mike has been flying the white line flag since 91, man. And he's put out some amazing solo records.
He's been doing the acoustic thing for a while.
Yeah, and he's got it nailed down to like a MIDI.
Is he back in a band situation?
No, yeah. I mean, it's called Volume 2. It just came out Friday of last week, August 23rd. And it's called Songs of White Lion Volume 2.
Wow.
And so they're out doing that and a couple of songs from Volume 1. But the guitar player is close friends with Vito, Marcus. And so he's learned, it's not like he's taking shortcuts. It's he is.
So does he call him up?
He's
and like,
learned
hey,
the
do you
notes.
remember?
He's learned the notes verbatim. And I mean, it's like watching White Line. I mean, Lomenzo, of course, James Lomenzo's in Megadeth, so he can't, he's not they don't have the original bass player. But, yeah, man, so there's just so many great memories, and I cherish all of those from Lillian. But when it was time for me to leave, it was just, I knew that it was time for me to leave. And ironically, the last show of mine was Monsters of Rock.
But you and Steve, y'all still talk and everything. I'm sure you do.
No,
Some.
we actually don't talk.
Well, you should.
And we didn't have an argument or anything. It's really weird. We just stopped. I mean, I just stopped calling him one day, and he stopped calling me, and that's been since June of 2022.
I think you need to call him back up and say, hey, man, what's up?
It's weird. I mean, That's just how things go, you know. I mean, I don't think it was intentional on either of our parts. We just literally stopped talking.
Mm-hmm.
I've got friends that I've done that with.
Yeah, it's just rare.
It just happens, you know.
It hadn't happened with anyone else of mine, but because I still talk to Ken, and I still talk to I'll still talk to Sam every night. I still talk to Rob. Rob Hubby came to one of my shows at the Coast not long ago, and a month ago. So I still talk to everybody.
So Sam, he's still trucking along with them?
Yeah, dude. Sam's still doing his thing. He's got another band, Catch a Velvet, with Eric, our old bass player, and they doing their thing. But yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I keep up with Steve. I see what he's doing on Facebook and see his posts and stuff. But yeah, when I walked away, I wanted to stay walked away. But I did for a year and a half. I still kept booking them, and I still kept semi-managing them and getting them their shows and telling them, go here, go there. But it just got too much. And I was like, man, I left the band. Why the hell am I like booking it?
Yeah.
And not saying that in a negative manner. I just wanted to concentrate more on what I was doing.
I remember when you were booking after you left the band.
Yeah, I was still handling them. But I was like, I need to get to what I was doing, which I was writing music with Donnie Vai from Enough's Enough.
Yeah.
And we're still gonna finish our project and then my book. And that was like when Steve did the presser, it was because of my solo record and my book. The solo record's done. I just haven't put it out. Kent Bruce did it. He finished it. It's rad. It's all over the place. I got amazing musicians playing on it.
Did you do this at Malaco?
Yeah. And I started it in 2013, man. And I finished it in 2020, finally.
Did you record it to, was it just straight to Pro Tools or was it on tape?
No, it went, Kent went to 2-inch.
2-inch,
Yeah.
cool.
And then converted over.
Oh,
And,
cool.
And I had some killers. So Joey played on a track. Chad Wesley played on a track. I had Dan Joyner playing on a track. Murph playing drums on a track. I had some amazing musicians, and the rest I did myself. And it was just, and Chris Brown played on a track. So it was a lot of fun. And then my book comes out in December. So I'm
nice.
done. And that really tells, that gives a lot of, it's 497 pages.
Is this book going to be printed or is this online?
No, it's printed.
It's already printed.
Yeah.
They're releasing it in December.
Distribution through HarperCollins.
And what's the title of it?
I still work. We have a release date. I have to have that done in about 2 weeks. So
I gotcha.
I
don't want to say that. I got 3 titles in my head
that you're working on.
What are the 3 titles?
And I can't say because then
Can't
it's
say.
giving them away.
Yeah.
I gotta keep a teaser in there, man.
There you go.
It's like when
I expect a signed copy.
So
the
is
chick
it-
won't let you take the bra off.
Is it a biography? It's a biography.
She won't let you take the shirt off to get the bra. Yes. It's just my life in music and
Awesome.
the crazy stuff that happened to me and it's very personable and very vulnerable. It shows your vulnerabilities and I open up and I'm not afraid to talk about the things I've gone through.
That's cool.
And just before we finish, I didn't want to come across as like, brash men or with the local music scene earlier. To each their own, but like I'm going to continue doing my thing, and I will support. I support anybody. I support people that I know don't like me, and that's fine. I just wish that's what's wrong with our world. There's not enough talking. So take me out of the equation. If the life lesson can come out of it, if you don't know a person and you just hear stupid shit and you base your hearing things or this hearsay or these assumptions that you've come up with in your head, you could miss out on a lot in life. Not just friendships.
That's true.
Not just talking to people. And,
But also not everybody's the same too.
of course not. And I'm not saying that represents the whole. I'm not saying that because there's a lot of local musicians that I love and I get along with. But there's a lot that have ostracized me and that they find it funny to make jokes. And some of them have since apologized and all that. But my whole thing is I'm not going anywhere until I die.
And you should.
I'm gonna be around, and so I would like to get along with everybody. I think it's pure shit when a person doesn't get to know a person and they just base opinions on just
what they heard.
on things that aren't and
things that probably didn't even happen.
Most of it's a farce. I'll be the first to own up to stuff that I screw up on, but I mean, Russ. I mean, I've known Russ for years, and Russ and I have had our ups and downs, but we've always been friends.
Yeah. Oh,
You
yeah.
know,
Russ is
it's
an
never-
asshole. So
No, I'm not
and
saying
so
that
is
at all.
Kevin.
yeah, I can be.
But I could, but when it came to booking and
stinky
stuff,
one, by the way.
But when it came to
kidding,
the
man.
booking and stuff, I was
I love you, buddy.
so passionate about it, and like.
Now, he really would follow up. We were like,
But I would get, but if I got screwed by a venue, then it put me, it was just hard trying to please the venues and the bands. I mean,
no
it takes a
joke.
special person to be a booking agent, man. And
Yeah.
it does.
I did it as long as I could. Daryl hung in there with me as long as he could, and we had some really successful. And on the promoter side, we were first to bring bands back to Jackson
were.
after after Fire and all
You
this
were.
closed.
You were.
And everybody thought we were crazy. You're going to bring rock to Jackson, dude?
So when
That work,
Chip-
country works, and we went against
so,
the grain.
so Chip kind of left, and y'all
Well,
filled
Fire
that,
closed.
and y'all filled that gap.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we started our first show was in 2015.
Right.
Chip closed in
Well, he just disappeared, didn't
2009, 2010.
he? I guess he said the hell with it.
Yeah, I think his last show was, he got out of it. I think it was the St. Patty's Day thing in 2010 with Vanilla Ice, which we opened for.
I remember that show.
Yeah,
I've actually
you were
met
at that show. It was Full Moon, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Because me and Vanilla hung out for a while.
yeah, Rob's a great dude, isn't he?
He's after you get to know him, absolutely.
I think he's great. He was really cool, but there was no club. That's the whole point. I mean, Shuckers has cover band. We couldn't do anything there. And Martin's was more still doing the indie thing. So when we approached Martin's, because that was one of the venues we used, and then we did approach Pops, which everybody thought. Well, that Pops was the moniker of the old redneck bar. Why are you going to bring
Right.
metal into a redneck bar? And it worked. We talked to Jimmy.
Yeah,
and
Jimmy was cool with it.
yeah, and it worked, and we did really well financially. The venues made a lot of money. The bands made a lot of money. We took care of them. Hideaway was another.
Yeah. We opened for y'all there.
Yeah, and you were out of the room when I mentioned that a minute ago.
I have to apologize.
What show was that? Was that the Faster Pussycat show? One of them?
No, that was. Was
it Lillian?
That was the Town Creek reunion gig.
So that's the night Randall was. Yeah, he was real sick, but he still got on stage with us when we got all of our past employees up. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a dear night. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody was great to us. I mean, we were treated really well.
I mean, I just had said that, and she said that you weren't in there. I can't.
It never fails. I have to walk out for like 1 minute, and I'm gonna miss. I'm gonna miss stuff that
You missed
I
us
needed to
calling
hear.
you out. Hey, Kevin.
But yeah, so we brought John Corabi, we brought Kip Winger, we brought Mike Tramp, we brought Zebra, we brought Randy Jackson, Lillian several times. Enough's enough. I mean, nobody was doing it. I mean,
Right.
it was just me and Daryl. So we used Martin's, Bonnie Blair's, Hideaway, and
Oh, you know what? And now that I think about it, we opened for y'all, and that's when we had Jesse singing. That was in Crow's early days.
yeah, that's
And
right. Yeah, and
it-
then he ended up singing with Sledgehammer.
Yes, and I think you had something to do with that, if I
Yeah,
remember
I put
right.
it, because he asked my opinion on it, and I thought, and I knew Jesse back because we opened for Cyrus. That tells you how long ago I was doing it.
Cyrus.
Wow.
And I knew Jesse before the Yankee Station days.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I can't remember which incarnation that was. That would have been during the full moon. No, excuse me.
You're going
that would
way
have been
back.
during Subjective Green. We opened for Cyrus and Lixeray, Bryce's band,
Yeah, yeah.
and Gypsy Free.
Wow.
I think.
Gypsy
Eric
Free.
Eric,
Trevor's band, Sweet Revenge, and Charade, and we did it. We
Yeah.
played at the Armory.
wow.
Memory.
Yeah.
That was the.
I was 13.
Are you talking about the Battle of the Bands?
No, we weren't. It wasn't the Battle of Bands. It was just one of the. I can't remember who did it. It was a Beaver show or something. I was at the Battle of the Bands one.
Yeah, I was there.
Razor
I was
White.
kicking
I
my
think
ass
Razor
for not
White.
being there.
Razor White was on that show with us because Phil was still singing for Razor White.
Razor White.
And then Troy ended up taking Phil's place. And I will give Steve credit. It's actually never really gets told. Steve doesn't get the credit he deserves, but Steve is responsible about 90% for Phil getting the job in Pentair.
Really?
Wow.
Wow.
So the Abbott brothers had, they were all on the circuit. Steve knew them from playing in Texas, knew them from coming to Jackson. Hey, man, we lost our singer. We need a new singer. Hey, man, there's this 16-year-old kid that comes to the creek and comes to Fat City and watches us play when we're in New Orleans or whatever. Guy named, and he's got a hell of a voice, you know, gets up with us every now and then, because that's when they were doing a lot of the cover stuff. And his name's Phil, man. You should reach out to him. And
It's funny to see the pictures of Phil when he was with Razor White.
Yeah.
And they were like hairband kind of thing.
Of course. And I think at that time, Troy, I think, was still with Dark August, and maybe I can't remember.
Yeah.
But so
I used to love Dark August.
Oh, they were great. And Derek was in that band too. I think it's just this all web weave that ties
Derek was
together.
in Dark August?
Yeah, and Victorian Blitz.
See, I don't remember when I got up and jammed with him a couple of times because I was kind of friends with Glenn.
Yeah.
And Glenn would let me get up and jam with them.
Yeah, they were.
When they play at the Creek. But it was, I don't remember what the guy's, or what the singer's name was. I don't remember.
Well, Derek was one of them, and then Troy was
It wasn't
one.
Derek.
Yeah, and then Troy, I can't remember the other guy's name.
It wasn't Troy for sure.
Yeah, I can't remember. I know Daryl wasn't there, but Steve told the Abbott brothers, Dime and Vinny, hey, get Phil. This guy, Phil went out there, tried out. About a year later, Power Metal came out, and then Cowboys.
Yes, I remember some of those pictures.
Yeah, and then
they were glam.
And then Troy got Phil's job in Razor White, and then Razor White was neck and neck with Lillian, as you remember, Kevin.
Yeah,
those were the two big bands at the Creek.
Yeah,
and then of course he had Sidewinder, who was I think one of the first bands that we played with that I remember. Like, is this Metallica? Because I was a kid. And you remember Sidewinder?
Sidewinder, they won
They used that, but remember they were one of the only ones that used the 18-wheelers. They had an 18-wheeler to carry their gear.
But aren't they the ones that won Star Search or something?
Yeah, I mean they were huge. They were out of Florida, but they played. And then Baby Blue, Baby Blue was another big one.
Baby Blue,
we opened for Baby Blue.
Yeah.
I think I was 14, Baby Blue.
Wow.
And Sidewinder, Baby Blue, and then...
I just remember Sidewinder, if it's the same Sidewinder we're talking about, I remember them playing... I mean, they were doing stuff that...
Oh, they were huge, and they played the Dock. It was the same Sidewinder.
Yeah, there
and
was...
I'm trying to think of the third band. It was Sidewinder.
Kathmandu's and places like
Sidewinder. Where's Daryl when I need him? Where's my lifeline? Sidewinder.
I'm right here, buddy.
Sidewinder, Baby Blue, and then...
Yeah.
Cookie was the singer.
Eli.
Yeah, thank you. Eli was the other band that had the 18-wheeler. And I was just like, man, this is unheard of because, like, we were traveling in the van, you know, or my dad's Blazer. And he would just put all the gear in there. At that point, we did realize, a couple years later, that I was supposed to be singing through, speakers, not my 212 amp. And then when you were playing clubs, of course, you get to hook into the PA. But, yeah, man, those were good days, man, and I wish everybody would have the opportunity to experience it because I never took it for granted. But it's fun to kind of sit back and reminisce sometimes. But you stay busy with life so much that you don't really.
Over the years, I had the chance to open for Lillian twice.
Yeah,
and the first time was in Houston, Texas. I think I told this story on one of the other podcasts, and it was with.
Was it at Cardi's?
God, I don't remember what the club name was. It was huge.
It was Cardi's.
It was in a little mall or something.
Yeah, it was Cardi's.
And it was with,
was it Johnny?
Ron. No, it was with Ron. It was right when they started hitting.
That would have been Cardi's, yeah.
Yeah,
That was
and they had this motor stage thing, or there was a little section of the stage that would motor out.
Yeah.
And, we drove to Houston, Texas. We had an agent that was wanting to book us. And this was Rock Show, back in 80.
Billy Pleasant.
No, Billy. No, and I know Billy, but no, Billy was not in the band.
I thought he was in Rock Show.
No. That was me,
Who am I?
Tom Harris, Paul Wydick, and Todd McKinney.
Paul Wydick.
Why did I say that? I knew that. It was Justin's brother.
Justin's brother from Lobotomy, yeah.
I don't know why I said Billy Pleasant. That's Matt Pleasant's brother because I was in Stanley.
And I grew up with
That's
Billy.
another band I forgot. I was in Stanley with Dan Joyner and them.
Yeah, but we drove to Houston, Texas for $100.
Wow.
To open for Lillian.
But back then, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Well,
and gas was only like 67 cents before Bidenomics.
Did he say?
He didn't say that, did he?
Please don't edit that. That's
I'm not.
He told the truth.
I was going to wear my Trump Vance shirt tonight.
That was my
I
biggest
had one
show.
that said sliding to Biden, and I didn't wear it.
That was my biggest show ever at the time. I mean, there was a couple thousand people, in this place. And
Of course, yeah.
I've told the story on another podcast, and it's like,
You know what's funny? is we played in 60,000 people at Rocklahoma.
wow,
Jesus.
wow.
But that didn't bother me at all in many big crowds.
But you can't. It's hard to make eye contact with
Could you
them.
hear anything?
Yeah, I mean, I love
You
that
had
show.
in-ears, though.
Yeah, and like, no, I don't use monitors. I never use, 80s in the Park was another huge festival, Rocklahoma. The Monsters of Rocks are always big. But like, it's so weird, man. It's like, that don't make me nervous. I get more nervous playing like intimate acoustic shows, like private parties.
Yeah, yeah.
Something
they're all
that you
looking at
wouldn't
you.
think should be nerve wracking at all.
I'm much better in front of a
It's
bigger
weird
crowd.
it doesn't bother me at all.
Right,
And
right.
people are like, how do you do it? I don't even think about it. You just get up and sing. But like, if it's just me, it's like the vulnerability, is there.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what
Well,
I'm
and
saying?
being a solo acoustic, I mean, there's not much
Yeah.
to hide behind either.
Yeah, but it's like, it's just kind of an awkward, like, I do private parties a good bit, and like, I don't know these people. That part's already weird, but you don't know them. It's different if you play in at a venue because you already know the people, like the employees. You don't know who's coming that night,
Right.
but at least you have a comfort level. You're here by yourself, dude.
Right.
So, like, I remember going and playing. This happened to Jason Turner, too. One night I got hired for a private party. They made me sign a waiver when I walked in the door in the building. Well, said building didn't have windows. Started thinking, had a little tiny little window like that, like a jail cell on the front door. Yeah, well, I signed this paper, and it was the Church of Scientology.
Oh,
Ah, wow.
Okay.
Yeah. So that happened to Turner, too. Same group of people got us. Yeah. So we played for the Church of Scientology.
Wow.
wow.
But they didn't tell us that. I just thought it was a normal gig I was going to, bro. I get there, no camera, no phone use. You talking some bizarre stuff, man. My stories it just doesn't make sense.
Did you meet Tom Cruise?
No, he wasn't there. He wasn't there. But it was bizarre, man. They didn't talk about like on breaks. I went outside. That was another rule. And no phone usage, no pictures. I mean, they take your phone.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's. I don't remember if they did that to Jason, but it wasn't the exact same group, but they were affiliated with the same group that did it to Jason.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, dude, talking about that's freaky. So those kind of gigs make me really
And
uncomfortable.
they have them here?
Oh yeah,
Dude, I had no idea.
yeah, they're around, and but yeah, and on a side note, man, I'm really proud of how you guys have. I mean, you guys have like just catapulted yourselves. You should be really proud of your
thank you, man.
product because you
Thank
stuck with it.
Thank
so
you.
like you've thrown all these compliments at me, and I appreciate it. But out of all bullshit aside, you should. You've kept that flag rolling, man.
I've tried to keep the
You have. You've
80s
kept it.
flag going.
Well, because first and foremost, you're a lover of music, just like me.
Absolutely.
And I'll tell you, for people that I don't know who hadn't seen Hurricane, because God knows y'all been out there and done your rounds, but
Been a force for years.
for
appreciate
guitar
that.
players, both of these guys. I'm sitting in like, I played with Steve, sure, but like, you're a hell of a guitar player to me. I look up to you, and I look up to Kevin. I remember going to Kevin. Kevin, when was that you had? Was it Musician's Guitar?
Musician's guitar?
Was it Musician's Guitar?
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Hold on. Maybe I'm okay. I think let me go back to what I was saying, and then I'll get to that because I'm getting confused. So let me segue back to where I was. But yeah, it's like Kevin's in the control bit back there, but like y'all are both amazing guitar players, and so I was excited, obviously, for that reason to come.
Well,
just to
when
come
you
and
say
deny
that, I want. Let me interject. Whatever the word is.
Intersect,
Interject.
Interject.
inter-eject,
One of my favorite people is Jim Beam,
eject.
but I can remember, we opened for you guys. What I was going to say was like we opened for Lillian in Houston, Texas, and that was when Ron, back in those days when I guess they just signed, and but the second time we opened, you were the singer, and it was a great experience because back then in Houston in the '80s, I mean, I don't even know that I got to even speak to anybody in Lillian Axe when we opened up. It was different when we opened up for you. What was it, 2017, maybe somewhere at Hideaway?
Yeah, and that's that's one thing about the band. We never did like paid meet and greets or any of that. Like, we just want we were happy to people to come out and support music because even then, this isn't something new because of the economy. With streaming took place, man.
Yeah.
Album sales went to shit. And I mean, it all started with Napster. People can hate on Lars if they want.
That's true.
But it's the truth. And I mean, at some point, we're all guilty of streaming, but, it really kills musicians and, physical, tangible products not about, that's about to be obsolete. I mean, CDs are out.
Well, what I was going to say was
already.
Like, when we opened up for y'all, I can remember walking up to you and you were standing at the bar with Terry Sharp.
Yeah.
And I walked up to y'all and I said, hello, whatever. And I'd never met Terry at that time.
Yeah, sweet guy.
I love Terry. And you said, "Oh, this guy's a great guitar player," which
he is.
Yeah, because we're all guitar nerds at the end of the day.
Yeah,
I mean, I still try to concentrate more vocally. I mean, like Russ paid me a compliment tonight, and I really appreciate it.
I've heard him shred an acoustic, so don't let him fool you. I've seen it.
And Don says that, dude. I just think I'm playing. I don't I can't do what y'all do.
No, you've apparently been working on it.
No,
it's good.
I play every night, but I just try to loop and because it gets boring just with a tuner and just.
I'll tell you.
Well, I've always known you as a singer. And then when I watch your
I started out as a
videos,
guitar player. My first guitar was.
I didn't know that.
I was 9 years old. My first guitar player was a Harmony. I mean, my first guitar was a Harmony. My dad went and bought. And then y'all remember Campo over by
the
across from the old Metro Center. Well, they sold guitars, and my second guitar was a Legacy, which I've never even heard of. I've tried to find, and then my third guitar, which. Because we started gigging, my dad took me down to Morrison's on 80. Don Morrison sold me my first stack. No, excuse me, that 2-inch, that 212 Ampeg.
Yeah, when you were singing.
No, I got that for guitar, and he bought me reverse headstock Charvel. My dad did Fender turquoise blue. Fender Strat, but I mean it's Fender Strat copy, but it was a Kramer with a Floyd Rose.
Yeah. Do you still have it?
I still have it. That's the
awesome.
guitar that I've kept, and I'll never stop, and I'll never get rid of that guitar. It's just beautiful, and it still plays so stupid good too. And I mean I hadn't played it, I hadn't touched it in years, but I remember it still played really well. And then that was on 80 with Don Morrison. I mean everybody remembers Don.
Oh yeah.
And then of course
him and Steve.
Yeah. And then they moved
out to County Line.
Yeah, and Don went on to do some stuff out in California with music, and but yeah, so that was my first experience. So I was always a guitar player. I mean, that's all I always. And then I kind of just started singing, and there's various reasons why I started. But I remember, and it was Bon Jovi's debut record that I really fell in love with vocally. I think he's always been so, and if people listen, like, forget the tongue-in-cheek crap, but if they listen to his voice, he was I say it in past tense because I'm not saying it in past tense, I'm not trying to, but he's had a lot of very well-known that documentary is great, but on Hulu, by the way, if you haven't seen it, it's brilliant. Great, and you really know how hard his work ethic is.
Oh yeah,
I don't agree with him politically, but he's a badass when it comes to singing. I don't care what the Slippery When Wet changed the trajectory of hard rock, bar none. When that came out, Motley was scared. Everybody was terrified, dude, because that album changed the trajectory. Just like Quiet Riot changed the trajectory of the Sunset Strip.
Yeah.
Van Halen had already left when Quiet Riot came out, dude.
So I do have
Changed rock and roll.
I do have a question.
But that's who made me start singing.
So that's awesome. I just want to know who put all the makeup on first. Back in the who started all that?
Easily. So I would say New York Dolls.
Okay.
That would be I would say New York Dolls, Angel, who Steve played with.
Right, I did know that.
Angel, New York Dolls, and then Bowie. And then Bowie, yeah, and then Iggy Pop, and then
just kinda
and then
took off.
Kiss.
Wow.
I mean, Kiss is face makeup, but as far as like just glammed out, yeah, New York Dolls all the way.
Okay.
And those people credit them for that, New York Dolls, and then everybody, fell,
Into that stuff.
went suit with that. But yeah, man, that's kind of what got me started singing and stuff. And but anyway, what I was getting back to is Hurricane's doing great, and
Well, thank you.
I hope to be able to catch you guys when I'm not saying. I did get to see y'all not the last time I was playing at Shuckers with Don. I came inside and watched you guys. Sound brilliant. Sound
Thank
great.
you. Well, that's probably because of Matt Roberson. He's kind of making it happen.
Matt's complete madman, but no, he can't make instruments sound.
Well, I can tell you this: we have worked on the harmonies and that sort of thing, and so we've usually got 3, sometimes 4-part harmony if we're working hard on it. It depends on who's there and who's not there. But yeah. So we've been working on a lot of stuff. But yeah, it's
and the gigs you guys are getting, man, that's great. You're able to now you have the popularity. Like we talked about, you got to that level to where you can afford to turn down gigs.
We are.
And it kind of feels good.
We have been, in fact.
Because you want to make yourself in demand,
Yeah, we got Gold Strike coming up finally.
Yeah.
And we'd love to make it back to the coast.
That's awesome.
We don't know how that's going to work out, but we'll see. And,
yeah. Well, I hats off to you guys. I think you guys are doing great.
Well, thank you, man.
I'd love to get back out there and hopefully.
We need to with Full Moon Circus.
Hopefully, Full Moon can do a couple of shows.
And we need to come open for y'all.
No, we all play together. And we'll get
whatever.
Kevin and Crow and these
Whatever.
guys to do their thing. Crow, and y'all could teach me some guitar licks.
Well, that's the thing.
I asked Don to, but he's always too drunk to show.
Well, I'm gonna tell you that's another thing. Watching your acoustic
Look, Don
thing.
can still play like a mofo when he's drunk, dude. That's all I've ever known him to be. He's never played a sober show with me. Ever.
I don't know if you remember, but you post a lot of your acoustic gigs. When you're playing. Your shows.
Some of my live shows.
And I'll pop in them.
And you'll hear some obscure song. That's what I love doing.
But what always impressed me was to me, you were not necessarily known as a guitar player. You were known as a singer for Lillian Axe.
That's what Chad Wesley always told me.
But then I hear you playing, and I'm like, well, damn.
And now Chad says I'm not a guitar player. He said,
You
you're
are
not
a
a
guitar
singer,
player.
you're a guitar player.
You are a guitar player.
Man, I can remember when Chad played with y'all in Full Moon.
Yeah.
I remember
That was the one year that Don had to take care of some family stuff. And I brought Chad and Brandon in because Chris had some family stuff going on too. And what a badass.
Yeah. I mean,
man, there's some badass talent around here.
No, they're definitely, look, and what I said earlier, man, I love everybody to death. So if I pissed you off, I'm sorry, but not sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, if the shoe fits, you got to put that sumbitch on and tie it up. But I'd love to shake your hand if y'all don't. I just want everybody to do good, man. Everybody's in it to hustle, and everybody wants to. Whether they're doing it for supplemental income or a full time, like I've been in my entire life. That's all I've ever known. So,
have you ever worked a job besides music?
Yeah, just one. It was WorldCom, and but
Really?
I was still doing music full time.
I
So
thought you were a greeter at Walmart.
no,
Not me.
no.
I can picture myself being.
I did it for one day. I didn't know nobody told me.
I can picture myself one day at
I worked
Walmart passing out.
I worked at WorldCom, but
smiley
I was still gigging full time.
You were at WorldCom.
What did you do at WorldCom?
You're the one that
I was a
called out
network
that
engineer.
dude.
You was what?
Network engineer.
Really?
Yeah, that's what my schooling was in. When I finished my schooling, I did all of that online because I never had time to go to school.
Where did you get your schooling at?
Yeah, Hines and Holmes and MC.
Cool.
Yeah,
Well, my schooling was drafting and architecture.
Yeah, I'm not that smart.
Well, I wasn't smart because I never did it a day in my life.
Yeah, I mean,
I was a
I
building
did online
inspector,
courses, and I mean,
did that for a couple of years.
and then you would have to go like twice a semester to do test in people's faces so they don't think you're cheating or whatever.
Yeah.
Had
to be proctored.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. They call it proctored. Yeah.
I went to Hines to play
sexual
baseball.
term, like I'm going to get I'm going to get probed.
Proctologist.
I'm going to get
proctologist,
probed. Are y'all going to test probe me? But but back in the local scene, I would love to have relationships with musicians, and I think all musicians should treat each other fairly and don't go by what you hear. And that's the one thing I would, I do hear about the unity, and I had to just kind of give another standpoint, because that's the beautiful thing about speech is that we all have,
Right.
not to sound cliche, but we all have the freedom to say what we want to say.
Yeah.
And so,
It's easy to form opinions about people when you
you've
don't
had some
know
great
them.
guests on here. My whole thing is, I'm always going to be real with people, and I make mistakes. I'm human, but
We all are.
I will
We all
always
are.
own up to it. And if you don't know somebody, get to know them. And
Yeah, we can all be friends, and we can swap spit and
but-
piss in each other's boots, and it'll be fine.
And this is the last thing I'll say. That's one thing people have asked me about, and I can honestly, 100% unequivocally tell you this. When I was in Full Moon, I've told Crawford this, I've told Don this, and all that. We caused a lot of our own trouble because we like to get in trouble. That part's just
That's rock
what
and
it
roll.
is. We just acted stupid, and we tried to think we thought we were rock stars and acted ignorant, But I say this: the camaraderie in that scene on the circuit was okay. We had relationships with Splendid Chaos, with Terry and those great guys, and with Spank the Monkey. US was our competition. We still had a camaraderie with them, but they were our competition. Pygmies, we got along great with. Other bands, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I'm a Pygmies fan.
But when we come home locally, I can tell you, and then even doing this solo-wise, I can tell you on the national level, all those bands, whether it be Winger, Alice Cooper, Mike Tramp, Mr. Big, you name it, whoever we've played with, no fucking egos.
Wow.
Really?
Not one, dude.
You didn't have to deal with that shit.
I mean, I
for
could
the Bullet
literally
Boys
call.
thing.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. You wouldn't think that these people, because you have this, including me, before I even got to meet any of them, you have a misnomer about these people like they're bigger than life and they're not cool. And there's some dicks. I've met a couple. Yeah.
Do you want to name any?
Vince Neil. Yeah. I pushed Vince. That happened at Coshada Casino. Why do you think my relationship ended at Coshada Casino?
Well, I've heard of other stuff. There's a guy that used to book us out of Memphis, and he was talking about Vince, and I was like, the stories. Oh, and a buddy of mine that used to work at Full Throttle, he was like that guy. It's like him and Sebastian. Like, you better watch out for those guys.
Sebastian and I get along great. So but I do know the stories about Sebastian.
Well,
but that's what I'm saying. But in that world, man, I wish that would happen here, because I would love to have that relationship that I have with, like I said, these were my idols that I grew up loving, became my mentors, and I learned from them. I mean, I would tour with them, but I would watch them side stage every night to try to learn stuff.
Were you ever starstruck at all, or did?
Oh God, yeah, with Alice Cooper.
I bet.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
'cause I
my
know
dad raised me on
because
Cooper.
him and Steve are close.
Yeah, I mean, we all are, but I mean, my dad raised me on Cooper. And so before I met his daughter and Calico and all, and his wife, and became friends with that whole camp, yeah, the first time I remember my ex-wife was with me, and she met him and was bawling and crying, and he was laughing and gave her a tissue, and he signed the tissues and stuff, but God, Alice is just the sweetest cat you can ever meet. And like I said, I wish like my relationships, I wish I could have those relationships with musicians here, because they're more accessible. They're here with me, and I could just go hang out with them, instead of having these long distance relationships that I have with these guys that sounded kind of, you know what I mean. Sounded kind of sweet, but I wish I could have that with local musicians, and I do with, Jason Turner, with Don, and Sonny and Matt Nolan and those guys, you guys, and like I have that relationship, but I wish it could just be widespread.
Right.
And they don't realize is every one of those bands I just mentioned that we've toured with, I could just name 80 and 100, whatever, and keep going. All of those bands, every night when they played, they're all watching side stage, right? Side stage left supporting each other.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Right, you know, I remember Todd LaTorre, who sings for Queensryche.
Yeah.
He watched us every
He's
night.
a badass.
He's sick, and he'd be watching me sing every night on the other, and then watching. And then I'm like, how do you even do? Like, I can't sing like that, dude. And then Sebastian's on this side watching us, and then the guitar players are looking at Steve like, oh, yeah, and Brad Gillis is sitting behind me.
Oh, wow.
And it's just, but you're at the end of the day, you're all friends, and they're not there sizing you up. They're there watching you to support you. And it was like that every night of just for instance, like that 2012 tour, or if we went out with Zebra, we all watched each other and all supported each other. And what local musicians that are younger that are coming up, that, you know, like I mentioned, Johnny Crocker, those are the guys that I ask questions to.
Yeah.
And that I learned from the solo standpoint. And you should use people like Russ, or, you know, if Jeff's ever in town from US, or Don, or the people that have been doing this a very long time. Man, these local musicians should use these guys as sponges, man.
Yeah.
I'm not even talking, take me out of the equation. But instead of just being full of piss and vinegar, that's good to have that go-getter attitude and take over the world. But ask your Chad Wesleys, ask people that have done it and that have experience, and just be kind to each other, man. And the music scene, we're already crippled by an economy that's not going to change anytime soon. So that we already know
Hopefully
that's
it
there.
will.
All right, but let's take no political statement. That's just a fact. The economy's screwed. That streaming music has screwed a lot of things.
Absolutely.
A lot of people know that they can watch a video of y'all live because some idiot's going to be, excuse me, and I'm one of them. I'll admit I've done it.
Yeah.
I don't do it anymore. But somebody's going to be on Facebook. I have 3 friends, I won't name them, said they weren't going to see Night Ranger the other night because they knew that they could watch it on Facebook Live.
Well,
now, you
crazy.
may say that sounds cliche and weird. They literally did not go because they didn't want to spend the money, and they watched the entire show on Facebook Live. People can say they don't want to go see Hurricane. I want that personal experience where I'm in front of a person, like you and I are right by each other.
Yeah.
I can touch you.
Right.
You know, that whole thing. But people literally, so we're already vying against those 2 things. Those are just 2 things that I'm naming. The cost of drinks have gone up for people that drink alcohol. Cost of food if they want to have dinner beforehand. You got to add all those expenses up. So what I'm getting at, people have to pick and kind of choose what they do in a given weekend. But the more that musicians help each other, it kind of all the money's not going to change. I mean, in terms of the economy, the streaming stuff isn't going to change. That's going to just keep happening. But if people keep building themselves up and you build like a coalition, almost like a union, and people are helping one another instead of tearing one another down.
Maybe to get better money at the clubs.
Yeah, of course. I've been saying, Chad Wesley came up with that idea a long time ago. I thought it was brilliant. So Chad, if Chad watches, which I'm going to make sure Chad watches, because Chad came up with that idea a long time ago, and I thought it was brilliant.
You'd have to get everybody to stick to it.
To have a music union, to take care of each other.
But there's always some new up and coming band that will play for
That's true.
next to nothing.
I know,
Right.
but that's the principle of having the union. They sign those contracts on your behalf, or however the unions work. That way, you're not out of your wages. So you're right. Yeah, I deal with that now from a solo standpoint. And the kid will be talented, but he'll come in. Yeah, I'll play for $100. Well, if I'm used to making $300,
It's the same thing in
whatever.
in the tree business too. You got half price Harry comes in uninsured, tells everybody he is, and goes, yeah, it's just bullshit.
But I'm gonna tell you, I'm making the same. Well, when I do play, I hadn't played in a while, but when I do play, I make the same money that I made in the '80s.
and that's so sad.
The same money.
I can honestly say my whole goal in the booking agency with Daryl, was to get money up, and that's all we did. And Russ, I'm pretty sure, without looking at the books, Yeah, I'm pretty sure your money went up
It did.
more and more every time.
In fact, I'll say when we played Tail Fins, he got us a raise every time.
Oh, yeah, it was every show, yeah.
Every show. You were bumping it. I was like, look at this dude. I was like, he's trying.
And unfortunately, it just burned down.
Oh, wow.
Did it?
Yeah, it did.
Now, I
The
do
same guy
remember.
own it?
Yeah, that guy, Johnny, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Now, I remember when I was in Rocksha back, in the 80s that, we started off making next to nothing. But as Rocksha got better, our money did go up. Scott and Sally would up our money, as we went. But, man, these days it's basically 150 a man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like the going rate. And it's like, man,
Well,
it almost ain't worth the hassle.
when you're dealing with the PA, you're correct. I mean,
Yeah,
now
yeah.
if the clubs would have this built-in PA and a built-in sound guy, it may be okay.
Right.
But I mean, you got to take off work, bring all your crap up there, set it up, and maybe have
Yeah.
one person show up
Yeah.
and help you. Mm-mm.
Yeah, and I'm not calling out any particular club because they're all the fucking same.
Yeah, I mean,
know?
you just gotta kind of. That's why you just you gotta always try to stay ahead of the other. That's what I'm saying. The competition part always, because you gotta always try to figure out a way to make it justifiable for your pitch to that venue. Why should you pay me more?
Yeah.
I have to do something different than that person's doing.
Yeah.
That's true.
And
Exactly.
look, it may be obscure, but I'm going to play Jet City Woman acoustic. I'm going to play it slow. I'm going to play it melodic, and then I'm going to turn around and I may play somewhere, call somewhere in time.
I've heard you do Maiden.
Yeah, call somewhere in time. Or Can I Play with Madness? Whatever the
good, by the
case
way.
is. Or Don't Close Your Eyes. Some obscure song that no one's playing.
Who was that
Because
off-key singer?
We used to play that song.
Well, yeah,
Can I Play
I'm
with
saying, but
Madness?
from a solo standpoint, I want to do something that no one else is doing because maybe maybe there's an audience for it and that'll make the venue remember. And then I do have a little leg to stand on if I am asking for additional money, if that makes sense. Or as opposed, for the people that come in and they'll pay little to nothing. So that's the whole mindset with that. So, and that's what you guys have done. You guys have continually built your product.
Yeah.
And now you've catapulted to where you can turn down gigs.
Now here's the thing.
And
All right.
I think you guys have done great at that.
Let's say
Yeah,
that all the
great,
bands
great.
get together and say, okay, we're not going to play for less than X amount of money.
Do I need to get a picket sign?
Now, will the club still be able to stay open without the talent?
That's a good question. I don't think I'm well versed enough to answer that.
But I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. I think they take a lot of us for granted. But I think Chad really had a great idea. I don't know why he didn't follow through with it because Chad's really got a great business mind. Not only can he obviously play a hell of a guitar, but
he's killer.
as can you and Russ. But I think he should. Come up with that idea about
So
the
I'm
end.
gonna take a stab at that one. We really don't know how much money comes into. I don't know how much money comes into a club.
Sure.
But
Well, you can kind of do the basic math. So the basic math is average club marks their drinks up 400%.
But
Oh,
what
yeah,
brings
absolutely.
them? What brings them in? What I'm getting at is at the end of the night with that boop boop boop, boop crap. Keep them in there on the floor, or
If you
they
just
gotta-
had a DJ, is that going to bring the crowd in?
who knows?
I don't
It's like
don't
shitting
think
in
so.
a swinging bucket, man. That's hit and
what's
miss.
funny is like I feel like I feel like people take us for granted
Yeah, they do.
while we're here. Take it away and try to
Right.
live off of that DJ. You would see those numbers dwindle
Oh, yeah.
each and every day.
I would
You know,
hope you would.
if this podcast does nothing
That was-
besides maybe help the local musician make a little extra money,
yeah,
get the wages up a little bit.
Yeah.
but the local musicians have to stand their ground.
I totally agree.
Well, the
Be-
club,
if they offer you $500 to play for a night, well, that's not enough.
Yeah, I mean, that's the mentality you have to have. But you need
Yeah.
to be polite, concise in
Yeah.
what you want, but be polite, be
Yeah.
professional.
Absolutely.
But stand your ground. Don't
Absolutely.
just settle, because if you settle, you're hurting not only yourself,
Right.
but you're hurting Russ. You're hurting me. You're hurting
Yep.
you. You're hurting
Okay.
the other musicians.
Yep.
So then,
That's why the coalition, like I said, if musicians all got along together,
Yeah.
didn't go against each other, because I know some musicians that will take gigs right now in spite of somebody else not getting it, even
Right.
though they don't like the amount of money.
So how would you prevent a brand new person from coming in, taking a cheap gig, knocking you out in that case? How would you prevent that?
It's hard. I
know.
mean, you would hope that if you're already in said club, you would hope that your past performances and what you're doing really resonates with the patrons, the venue owners, and that they're loyal to you as you've been loyal to them. And that's why I try to spread my shows out. I don't try to play the same radius.
Right.
You guys
right.
are really good about doing that.
Yep.
Because I try to, and that's something that I can always have like as an ace in the hole. So if I ever do have an issue with a venue, it's not going to be like a golden ticket to Willy Wonka's factory, but it is an ace in the hole where I can at least have something to stand on, meaning like, hey, I haven't played anywhere else near you.
Yep.
I've been loyal to you.
Yep.
I'm asking for that now. I know this guy and he's pretty good. I get it. He's asking for $150 cheaper than me, but I can assure you that I'm going to still do a good job. I'll bring people. I'll take care of your patrons.
Right.
And that's what I hope would happen. And that's a good question. I don't know the answer. I haven't had to run into that very often.
Right.
It does happen though.
Well, I will say a lot of clubs like to go with the sure bet. So if they've had you in there and you're doing a good job and you're not stirring up any shit, that's what we were told at the casinos. They were like, "You're good, but the main thing we want to know is, are you going to cause us any shit?"
Sure.
And if you're not, and you still do good, then they'll usually have you back. But they don't want no crap from you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Makes sense. Yeah.
Well, we're running up on 3 hours now.
Wow.
So,
seriously.
It's been a fun
I have a
time.
feeling this could go another 3 hours.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
So
We'll have a part 2. Let's reconvene. We'll have a part 2.
okay,
Yeah,
we'll
we're
do that.
gonna have
Russ
to
and
do
I
this.
can trade stories.
yeah, we need to have
Yeah.
Daryl on too with you.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
That
we
would
need to
be-
find.
What will Daryl say? Who you fucking?
That would be so much fun if we got Daryl on. Daryl
Yeah.
is a plethora of knowledge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unlike no
Did
other.
you say a
man.
plethora?
Plethora.
Plethora. I said plethora, didn't I? Did I pronounce that wrong?
No,
Whatever.
you can
He's
say
a
either way.
clitoris of knowledge.
He's a
Yeah, I mean,
clitoris.
and his musical knowledge is, and he's got a great dude. He played with Leif Garrett. I mean,
Yeah,
so
That's awesome.
his story, Leif Garrett. I mean, you
Is it
could
leaf? Like it leaf on a
Leif,
tree?
Leif.
Leif.
And what a sweetheart, dude. I got to spend some time with him. But you're talking about a hard life, dude. You're talking about these stories, and
Yeah.
I know we're tying it up. But these kids that you read about now, like Corey Feldman,
Yeah.
that have come out about what they dealt with in
Yeah.
Hollywood.
Oh, wow. He was
Leif
one?
was dealing
Yeah,
with
he
that
was.
in the 70s.
Yes, he was.
Like when I say, ask Kevin and them guys, dude, when I say Leif Garrett was about, you could not get any bigger than Leif Garrett when you were good.
Nah,
You're
back in
talking
those days.
about, he was Elvis after Elvis.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
As a
he was.
tent.
He
Dude.
was about as big as it could get.
So he was getting laid.
I was made for that. You could not
Yeah.
get any bigger than them, dude. Like, oh God. But he had, his mother was taking all his money. He had some really bad things happen to him, but he bounced back. He, got all. He's always battled with addiction, but Daryl got that job at playing bass, and just to end it, he's got some great stories. And I mean,
Yeah.
Daryl played with Leif Garrett. I mean, and you talking about metalheads, dude. And no matter where we would go with Leif, everybody respects Leif.
Yeah.
Piercy would go up and hug him. I mean, you name it, Nikki Sixx. I mean,
Really?
Leif Garrett is like, yeah, he's got the utmost respect.
Did you ever meet Doc McGee?
No, I have not met Doc McGee. I would love to meet Doc McGee. He'd
was just
probably
curious.
sue me for my tattoo or try to tell Gene.
I was just curious.
When
because
I met Gene, though, Gene was like, I'm going to have to charge you for that.
he was funny with me too when I met
That's
him.
what he said, that I'm going to have to charge you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
What a
guy's
story.
crazy.
Yeah,
But
I think we need to get Brian and Daryl on.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And
Yeah, I would love to tell some more stories. I mean,
Yeah.
I have some dirt. We could really.
I have a
Some
feeling
dirt for
you've got
dirty.
a lot of stuff you could talk
not
about.
necessarily in a bad way, but like some funny stories and stuff that y'all would probably, I didn't really hit on it tonight. But,
We had a great time having you on tonight.
Thank you for
Brian.
having me.
How
Thank
can
you
people
so much.
find you?
well, they can come to my house.
No, not that personal. If they want to find out where you're gigging, how can they find you?
I stay over at the Super 8 Hotel. They're on the frontage road. Y'all just look for me.
You're at the Terry Moore.
Yeah. No, I'm at the
Do you
Bill.
have an artist page
I'm
or
at the
anything
Bill
like that?
Will Motel.
Focus.
Will.
If
Brian.
y'all
Oh my
come see-
gosh.
Y'all focus.
We're going back.
Yeah, I'm
Just
on
on
social media, Facebook.
Okay.
I do have a website that I don't remember the URL, and that sounds horrible.
No, that doesn't sound
But it's on my
horrible.
Facebook page. You
Okay.
can click on it, and the book will be out in December, and I will come back before that. Hopefully, if you guys will have me,
Yes.
Yes,
and we can talk
absolutely.
about the title.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I will share the music.
I think it's going to be sooner than
we'll
you
have
think.
2 singles before,
Okay.
way before that's out with Donnie Vi from Enough's Enough. So
Well, we really appreciate you coming on tonight.
thank you so much for having
Man, I
me.
appreciate you
Thank
being
you,
on.
Russ.
Yes.
God, it's been fun.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, we're
Thank
gonna,
you, Kevin, back there.
Yeah, man, we're going to
Thanks,
do this
Scott.
again real soon.
I would love to. Thank
Matter
you.
of fact, I want to talk to you about some dates before you leave.
Certainly, I would. Yeah, because we have to have a part 2.
Absolutely.
But Daryl has to be in here.
Yes.
Yes, we'll get Daryl into
But I'm telling y'all, we got to start early because me and
Yes.
Daryl's stories, y'all aren't even going to believe.
I've been up since 3:30.
Look,
Oh,
but
God.
you won't believe Daryl's and my stories that have happened to us. Because it's like shit that doesn't even make sense. I know COVID, after the world went crazy after
Yeah.
COVID, that shit was happening to us way before COVID.
Oh, yeah.
It's stuff you wouldn't even believe if we told you. I mean, we got held up at gunpoint
Oh, my.
on the way to Monsters of Rock in Florida.
I can't wait to hear those
Wait a
stories.
minute.
Yeah.
No, we got to save
Tell me
those
about that on the
stories.
way out.
I
Yeah.
will.
Yeah,
True
this
story.
is going to be a long podcast, but I'm not going to turn this one into parts 1
Okay.
and 2, 3, and whatever.
Okay, we do it like
Just
19
big-
parts.
Okay.
No, I'm just going to leave this one part. You just listen to it.
Let's say goodnight, Kevin. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
All right, we're going to sing this one
Make
out.
sure that you subscribe
still
to our
being
YouTube
recorded?
channel.
Hey, we actually got a singer tonight.
Share
being
and like our
recorded?
content. Comment below who you want to see next.
I was talking about your rainbow on the dark side of the moon.
Oh, yeah.
And I love
Dark
Pink
Side of
Floyd.
the Mule.
That's
Dark Side of the Mule.
Dark Side of the Mule. It was Government Mule did Pink Floyd.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, so that
I saw
Are
one
you
was
one of
mad.
those deadheads?
No.
Okay,
I'm not a
good.
deadhead.
You like Fish and Deadhead and like Grateful Dead and Government Mule?
I like Government Mule.
Aren't they into that category though?
I mean, they could be a jam band, but
Shame on you.
no, Warren Haynes is a phenomenal guitarist.
He is good, but
Yeah,
that's,
he ain't as good as Russ.
Phenomenal.
No, he's not rough.
He's phenomenal. Phenomenal.
We're gonna have to get you into some new music into your playlist.
I've got some good music
You
in
got
my
some
Oh,
bad-
playlist.
and
got
before
some
we
battle
go,
in your playlist?
hey,
I'm
I
just
just want to say before we go, I've been listening to Lillian Axe since the early 80s. Well, 83, 84. And Brian, one of my favorite songs is one you sang with them.
Oh,
You
cool.
know, I mean, I've been listening to all the ones with Ron and all that, but
Which one?
Death Comes Tomorrow.
Yeah, I love that song. I know we got to go.
Give us a little bit of it.
15 seconds.
Go ahead.
What he asked about earlier about Steve directing. So I was told basically, I get it. He wrote the music, respect it, but he told you how to sing it. My voice is raspy. If you see it live, you'll know that. For Russ knows that. I have more of a kind of a Sebastian rasp. That's a very clean voice. I appreciate the compliment, but that's not representative of how I sing.
Yeah, well.
I wish I could have sang it the way I sing it, but I respect Steve's writing, and he's got dog ears, and he's great, and I know what he's doing. Like, he knows what he hears. He's got a vision, and that's what he wanted. I meant dog ears like in a complimentary way.
I know.
But that's what he wanted, and so I had to sing it that way. But thank you. Everybody
I
sings
love
like
that song.
I can't listen to the record, to be honest with you, because I just don't like the way I sound, because that's not who I am.
But
Listen to
I
One Night in
think
the Temple, that's my voice.
Yeah,
Because that's live.
Yeah, I think I even mentioned to you that I have a hard time listening to anything I do, whether it be a video or whatever.
Yeah,
I'm-
but
I'm the same
that
way.
would
When
be
I was in
like-
11th Hour, man, I listened to that CD that we did, back in 1999, 2000.
Sure. Well, I appreciate the compliment, and I wish I could listen to that record, but it's not. I'm proud of it, but it doesn't sound like me at all. So that Weeping Moon kind of sounds like me, and the live record, One Night in the Temple, and then Live in War, which is the EP. That's because those are live. Right. So
You know what? Next time you're on, maybe with Daryl, we need to have you. You're writing. I assume you're writing your own stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the record's done.
Let's record you playing and singing.
No, we'll do it. The record's out, and the record is going to be released with the book.
Cool.
That was the whole
That's awesome.
point of me leaving Lillian.
Yeah, I just want a signed copy. That's all I got to ask for.
Man, I'm gonna do more than that.
Oh.
Are you a paying customer?
You're gonna get a little happy ending.
Ooh.
Oh, a little
well.
tuggy.
Wow. It's getting personal.
We should say good night.
He wanted to shake
It's getting
hands with
late.
you.
Good night, guys.
and
Thank y'all
brothers.
for having me.
Thank you
Yeah,
for coming on.
we
We
appreciate
appreciate
it.
it
Thank
so
you, guys.
much.
All right. Well, this has turned into tradition that we sing good night.
Good night.
And luckily we have a singer involved
Okay.
tonight.
Well, how did that?
The fuck was that?
That must be my wife.
Somebody got a harmonica to put us in.
Yeah,
want me to sing an A?
We need a note.
How are we saying? How did you do it? What,
It's just
you starting? I'll harmonize off of you.
God, I don't
Okay.
know.
I'll
Here we
find
go.
a third.
On whatever.
Hit a note, Kevin.
All right.
Good night. I'm out of key.
It's okay.
Somebody went lower than me.
That was me.
Oh,
I can go low.
yeah,
Let's do
you're
it one more
going way
time. Let's
down
do it
there.
one more time.
One more time. Good night.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody.
All right. see ya.
Good night.
Good
Thanks for
night.
being here, Brian.
Thank you. I sounded like the Crypt Keeper when I